Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Morning Nonsense. Hello, and welcome. Glad to see everyone here. Glad to see everyone. Good morning. At least on my end. Good morning. Hex Harper, hello. Killer Dude 04, good morning, people. Good morning, Killer Dude 04. Good morning, Dr. Crow. Good morning, all. Good morning to you, Dr. Crow. And Zofrats, good morning and good evening, chat. Good morning and or good evening to you, Zofrats. Hello, everyone. Let's see, Aura Master DX. Good morning, guys. Good morning, Aura Master DX. Fantastic to see you all here. It's going to be interesting, I think, today. I've lined up a nice little smorgasbord of nonsense for us to go through. I think it'll be interesting. I think you're all going to like it. Or you're all going to enjoy it, and it's just going to be a whole bunch of fun. A whole bunch of fun for Tuesday morning. A Tuesday morning. Happy Tuesday. Happy Tuesday morning, everyone. Happy Tuesday. Let's see here. Hello, Couch Noodles. Hail, Dan Frega. Hail, Frega. Hello. Let's see. All right. Well, looks like we can get underway. By the way, I'm going to go ahead and announce something. I haven't made a little change to the to how things are going to go with the morning nonsense. Basically, if you're just here for the live edition, nothing will actually change. But as you can see by the message on the bottom, the old streams will now be moving to the first edition channel. The first edition channel I have linked in the description below. If you want to go check it out, it's also in my recommended channels list on my recommended channels list on my my main channel. So the yeah, just go if you want to check out the old playbacks and everything like that. They shall all be moving gradually to the first edition channel. Also, any playthroughs of Doki Doki Literature Club will also be over there. I plan to be moving all of those over there today. Because YouTube is just brutalizing my channel, and while that is fine, if I can just keep the live streams over there, why not just win? Why not just have the cake and eat it, so I can get YouTube off my back, and we can still continue rummaging around with our nonsense and having fun with it. Just having fun with it. Endless fun, chat. Endless fun. So, YouTube wants to make us pay. YouTube wants to make us pay. But if we can find a way around making us pay, having to pay the price, then it'll be good. It'll be good. It's even better. Lucky Jinx, howdy y'all. Hello, Lucky Jinx. Hello. Welcome. Let's see here. Nef Champion, good morning. Good morning. All right. Dracious V, morning LD, morning Dracious V. All right, let's see here. Let's check out things, chat. We're going to open up things with a little taste from what we covered yesterday, only because I found a Bounding into Comics article about it, and might have some fun of that. Then we have so much other things to go through. I'm pretty sure we'll be able to get through everything. So you're gonna have some choices, chat. I always like to give you choices. Power to the people. Always power to the people. Let's see here. Because I'm not a New York governor, I can give power back to the people. Let's see. Here we go. If you don't remember from yesterday, there's everything. The world is still going crazy. Apparently, it's still happening. The world is still going crazy. Well, the world has been going crazy for 4 years, but the world is still going crazy over this whole orc debacle and how orcs are now racist for some reason. Now, how orcs are now racist, and that WeChat are all racist because when weirdos, NPCs, and SJWs and those people, when they see orcs, as described by D&D, these animalistic, uncivilized creatures that even if domesticated will always retain an underlying boiling blood of violence and animalistic instincts and tendencies. When NPCs, SJWs, and other weirdos, whether assorted varieties of weirdos, see see orcs, they see minorities. They see minorities, chat. But we are still the racists. We're the istophobes because we can't see it because we are not as racist as they are. We're racist. This would be interesting to go over just one more time, just a little bit more, because they have a lot more extra stuff in here. Okay, so let's see. Let's check this out. Space Oyster, orcs are still trending. Neat. Yes, they are. Well, not trending anymore, but people are still talking about it. They're still trying to make D&D bend the knee. And of course, because it's run by Wizards of the Coast, which Wizards of the Coast are run by soy boys. That's pretty much that's it. That's the end of the line. They will bend the knee. They'll probably take this article out, probably take this little paragraph out. This little paragraph, by the way, is what started the whole thing. So let's see here. Let's should begin, shall we? Let's begin. You got one thing that the modern culture hates. One thing the modern mainstream hates, of course, is the big dumb fanboys.
Course correction to appeal to big dumb fanboys.
Yeah, you can't mainstream. According to the mainstream, you can't appeal to the big dumb fanboys. You know, the people who have been giving them money for years and years and years, dedication, years of dedication, decades of dedication in some respects, uh, of love and passion, and of course money, are just being tossed away because some weirdos who aren't even fans of the franchise cried on Twitter. One thing they really dislike are and they really hate the fact that the D&D, they can't control it. So even if the people of Wizards of the Coast, they bow down, uh they can't really make changes because it's not like a video game or something. It's not like oh, are we still up, chat? Are we still up? Are we still up? Is it F for D&D or is it F for the stream? I guess we'll see. I guess we'll see. Okay, let's see here. But there's the article. Oh yeah. By the way, chat. This is tell you how things have gone. If you're still with me, uh, the for the first time in the longest time, my channel is now in the red in terms of subscribers. Let's see here. Make sure we're still live. Yeah, it looks like we're still live. So fantastic, fantastic. Okay. Oh yeah. Okay, for D&D, fantastic. But yeah, because of all the streaming, YouTube has so savagely brutalized my channel that I've gone from 10,000 subscribers in a month to the negative. They really hate when you live stream, chat. They really hate it. Let's see, Thunder Feet, nice name. Thanks for $1.99, appreciate that. I love orcs. Just look at my record collection. Fantastic, fantastic. Thank you very much for that. Appreciate that. Let's see here. Zofrat, LD, you need to make a video quick then. I'm trying. I'm trying. I'm trying. But I don't want to release a video just for releasing a video's sake. I mean, honestly, I've looked at the numbers and I might as well just read articles. I want to just be one of those channels that just reads articles for all the views I get in exchange. I mean, I upload a video where I put literally months of work into it. I get like 80,000. I haven't even got 80,000. I get like 75,000 views in return. And I see all these other channels like a Yellow Flash and that Umbrella guy. They just read an article and release 3 videos a day, and they got like 75, 80,000, 100,000 views on each of those. I'm like, what's the point? What's the point? I might as well just release videos where I just read through articles like I do here on Morning Nonsense. But that's not the point, though. I want to. I don't. That's not the, what I. That's not kind of. That's not the kind of video I want to release. I want to release videos that I find interesting, and that I put a lot of work in. So unfortunately, it takes a lot of time, and that's I can't do it any other way. I want to produce quality, interesting things that I put the work into. But I'm trying. We'll try to get there. We'll try to get there. Let's see here. All right. So progressive nerd culture outlets and tabletop creators claim depictions of orcs are problematic and racist. Nathan Tone, are you gonna be like Sargon of Akkad? Like what? Like a daily read through articles? No, no. Uh, uh. I mean, like this read through articles. Wait, I don't know what you mean by Sargon of Akkad. I'm not really sure. Let's see here. Hex Harper, we still love your content, bro. Looking forward to the next one. Awesome, appreciate that because the next one is going to be. I'm in the writing stage, I think I can have all the research done. But next one is going to be, of course, is Superman still relevant today? Which I think is a really interesting question to explore. I think it is. Let's see here. Hmm. Carl Martin, what do you put most effort into your videos? I assume the script, but I don't make them, so I don't know. Well, basically the script, usually the research and then the script. The rest of after that is kind of downhill. I mean, or it's easy stuff. Like the visuals and everything are kind of time consuming, but the stuff that takes the most effort is the research and the script. Like getting all the tools together, getting all the building blocks together, and then putting them together in a coherent manner. Let's see here. Let's see here. So yeah, the progress. So they're all angry about orcs now. They're angry about orcs. And I remember how they were angry with J.K. Rowling a long time ago because of her depiction of goblins. Now they were something along the lines of they're very very bigoted, apparently. But hmm, orcs, the monstrous fictional fantasy race, are once again under attack by nerd culture outlets and creators. See, it's never by the nerds themselves or the quote unquote nerds themselves, the people who like to play the game. It's never by those people. It's always by the people who need to write articles, need to get attention. All the outlets and the mainstream entities. They they're the ones who are dictating things. They're the ones who are dictating what you can and can't like, what you can and can't have fun with. And it's usually the can't more than it is the can. Let's see. The numbers, the more they try to claim orcs are racist makes me want to funnel more racism towards orcs. This just show how dumb the claim is. Yeah, yeah. Use more orcs. Use make orcs more enemies. Make more orc enemies. Chat in your games. You show them. And see, Lucky Jinx. I mean, he's kind of doing the Sargon thing here. That he's reading out idiotic articles and laughing at them. Yeah, I think if that's what you mean by the Sargon, yeah, that's pretty much it. The streams are they're pretty fun. And if you want me to stop, I can stop. But you know, I've heard otherwise so far. People kind of enjoy it, and heard people say that sometimes these streams get them through some difficult times. So that's what I've heard so far. But if you want me to stop these streams, I can. There's no problem. And see, Couch Doodles. Thank you very much for the $1.99. Appreciate that. Smash that like, you heathens. Appreciate that. Appreciate the help. Appreciate the help. Thank you, Mr. Frega. Appreciate that. So here we go. On April 25th, Arms of the Tide podcast, most Quinn Welsh Wilson. That's interesting. Asserted their disgust. So Arms of the Tide podcast. That might be a podcast worth checking out, I think, Chad. I think that might be something worth checking out. Nathan Tone, they're probably going to go after Lord of the Rings next. I think there's a video that popped up about them going after Lord of the Rings. I think it was a Steve Shives video about Lord of the Rings. Lord of the Rings. Let's see here. Hmm. Yeah, maybe next time I'll look through the Arms of the Tide podcast. Host Quinn Welsh Wilson. Maybe I'll look to that podcast for next time we can listen to it. Now, with this particular episode, and we can run through it. I think that might be interesting. That'd be an interesting listen. Unless I have to pay for it. I don't know. We'll see. Shock in the game description of role playing as an orc found in the 5th edition of Dungeons and Dragons, claiming the language used was blatant racism. Blatant racism. Like they said that they use blatant terms and racist terms and kind of like propaganda. No, this is what it said, chat. This is what it said. So this is the blatant racism, quote unquote, blatant racism you're going to be exposed to. So watch out, chat. Content warning here. He was decided to give us a content warning. So here's a taste of blatant racism in the modern year. Most orcs have been indoctrinated into a life of destruction and slaughter. But unlike creatures who are by their very nature are evil, such as gnolls, it's possible that an orc, if raised outside its culture, could develop its limit capacity. It's limited could develop a limited capacity for empathy, love, and compassion. No matter how domesticated an orc might seem, its bloodlust flows just beneath the surface. With its instinctive love of battle and its desire to prove its strength, an orc trying to live within the confines of civilization is faced with a difficult task. Now, to me, um, it just sounds like a fantasy race. It's kind of like it sounds like a fantasy race, almost uh, produced, almost inspired, seemingly by Vikings. You know, the sense of proving your strength. Maybe Scottish warriors, possibly, possibly Scottish warriors, maybe because it get. I think I'm not really sure where goblins came from. I think goblins might be Celtic in origin. I'm not. I don't remember. I don't remember exactly at the moment, but I think goblins and orcs are essentially somewhere in that region. Somewhere in that region. I forgot exactly where. I looked it up once. I forgot exactly where. But I don't see minorities here. If you look at what they are, it's like they're basically like Klingons. They're basically like described like Klingons from Star Trek. Always looking for battle, always willing to prove their strength and uphold their honor. More or less, more or less. Uh, yeah, let's check it out right now. Goblins at least came from Scandinavia. So yeah, I think they're Scandinavian with I think the name originating from Old French. So yeah, they're Scandinavian. I think works probably are running the same mill. A lot of them are Celtic. I know some of the things we run to are actually Celtic in origin. So I don't see any of the African origin or anything like that, or Latin America origin or Latin country origins, anything like that. These orcs are Vikings. They have the Viking mindset. Okay, Vikings are very white. Let's see here. Hmm. Hello, Gary Stew. Did you miss me? I sure did, Gary Stew. And I think after I'm going to spend the week trying to organize all the content, and we should be good to go for the next playthrough of Doki Doki Literature Club this coming Saturday. This coming Saturday, we should be able to be good for that one. Let's see here. Brava Throat Puncher, thank you much for the 5. I really enjoy the name. Awesome, awesome. It's funny how NPCs have the same way of thinking as H.P. Lovecraft, who is a known racist. Yeah, but they all call us racist for not needing like. Yeah, H.P. Lovecraft was a kind of a weird guy. He was very strange, very strange. But the thing about H.P. Lovecraft is he funneled his strangeness and his oddity into very entertaining, if not peculiar writing. Okay, very interesting ideas. He was a guy who was afraid of a lot of things, and he turned that fear into a mythos that everyone is still obsessed with today. The SJWs and NPCs, they take their insecurities and their fears and whatever it is, and they turn it into things that just damage stuff. So at the very least, the SJWs cannot say that they are better than H.P. Lovecraft, because H.P. Lovecraft took all of his insecurities, his fears, and whatever, and turned it into his own IP. He made his own Cthulhu mythos. He didn't take over someone else's popular IP and then inject it with his own weird fears and things. He made his own thing in his own image, and everyone liked it, or a lot of people liked it. It's still around today. Still, his ideas and the Cthulhu mythos still used heavily today. Dracious V, why are they picking on orcs? Literally, every D&D race has their own culture. They do. They're not humans. They're their own. I mean, they're not even human. They're all different species. Even the characters that you usually play, I think, with the dwarves and elves and stuff, they're all different species. They're not humans at all. And see one server Satania. So describing a different species is racist now? Yes, it is apparently. What are we going to do when we find a new insect? Call it equal to human and say everyone claiming otherwise racist? They'll give them ideas. I'm pretty sure they'll do that. I wouldn't put it past them. I would not put it past them, chat. Nexus 906, thank you much for the 10. Appreciate that. I hate these people and their hypocrisy. The only racist here are them and their bull. couldn't make it yesterday, so here's extra. Oh, thank you much. Appreciate that. And you're correct, actually. You're correct. Let's see here. Yeah, you're correct about that. It's their hypocrisy. They're the people being actual racists and bigots, but they're calling us racist and bigots because we're not as racist and bigoted as they are. It's an interesting predicament, and you see this with their words and their actions. They say the situation here is that they see a description of a race, right? They see a description of a race, uh, and or species, a species slash race. They call them races in the game, I think. But they see a description here, and they see things like how no matter how domesticated an orc might seem, its bloodlust flows just beneath the surface, with its instinctive love of battle and desire to prove its strength. So it's like even that's most domestic. Okay, it's the orcs are just a bubbling crock pot of violence. This even under the it's a surface level civility, and that the thin veneer of civility will go away on a split second, like a wild animal. And they look at something like that. They read that paragraph and think, well, those are obviously minorities. And because I see minorities as people who are just who have a thin veneer of civility on their faces and are going to go wild at a moment's notice. Obviously, these orcs are also a stand-in for minorities. And if you don't see that, then obviously they'll call you racist. what do what do these people? How do these people think? How do they? This is a ridiculous way of thinking. It's a very strange thing that goes through their minds. I'm pretty sure. Couch Doodles, thank you very much for the $1.99. Appreciate that. Evil cannot create, only take and bastardize. Exactly, Couch Doodles. I'm really surprised they allowed bastardize. I think you might have misspelled it or something. But I'm really surprised they allowed bastardize to the super chat. But thank you for that. Appreciate that. I learned learned a new thing about that. That they learned that bastardize is allowed through super chat. And yes, you're correct. Evil cannot create, only take and bastardize. It's why it's evil. It's that's why I believe it's the whole question: is evil born? Is evil made? Evil, if you do believe evil is made, it goes right in with that because it cannot create. Evil cannot create with that. It can only corrupt. That's what it is. That's what they're doing. They're corrupting things that have that aren't broken and that are just plain fun. And just plain fun, chat. And they're trying to ruin everyone's fun because they can't have any. Their mindset is this weird, always on how bad things are, and never how to make things better, never how to improve someone else's life. It's always let's complain about something and ruin someone's happiness, ruin someone's ability to enjoy the game that they love. It's not critique, okay? It's not simple critique that they're doing. They're trying to because we see this before. They always highlight something and say, "This is a problem. Fix this now." Hashtag fix this now. How many times have you heard that? Fix this now, they say. They keep saying it. They will always say that, chat. Fix this now. And that they're not saying when you critique something, it's not fix this now. It's here's what's wrong with it. Do better next time. This is fix this now. Make it more aligned with my sensibilities. They want the company to bend the knee and change things because they personally feel it's racist or something like that. They don't. There's not something that's wrong, or maybe it's not loyal to the series lore, which would be more of a critique, a good faith critique that the new orcs are not fitting with the series lore, for example, or they're not as monstrous or something like that. No, it's just this is racist. Fix this now. Also, this whole paragraph is highlighting and writing and changing things from I think what the previous depictions of orcs were, which I think were just always evil bad guys. And this whole paragraph is saying, yeah, they're not inherently evil. Okay, orcs can be good. There can be good orcs. They're not inherently evil. And because it's saying, and it's keeping that in mind and acknowledging that fact, at the paragraph is essentially saying and letting you know that these orcs are not inherently evil, that they can have civility, that they are capable of being kind and empathy. Saying that they're not just these bestial primitive people, bestial primitive brains all the time, that they can be taught civility. They read that and they think minorities. and think it's racist because the D&D company, Wizards of the Coast, says, "Hey, did you know that orcs can be good people too?" And then then people like Quinn WW reads that and says, "That's impossible. Minorities are cannot grasp civility. That's racist." And that's how I read it when they say it's racist. They see a paragraph highlighting. That's all it does is chat. It's saying that's all this paragraph is doing. It's highlighting that orcs can be good. They're not inherently evil. They can grow into empathy. They can grow into love and compassion. That's the whole topic of this paragraph. And Mr. Quinn here sees that and calls it racist against minorities. And the only way that paragraph could possibly be racist against minorities, even if they were correct and that orcs were blatant stand-ins for minorities, is if he does not believe in his white man's burden sensibilities, that he does not believe that minorities can grasp civility, that minorities are actually capable of empathy, love, and compassion. So this looks really, really bad on them. It looks really bad. Is that what they think? Is that really what they think? Let's see, the author, thanks for the $1.99, appreciate that. Social justice, Latin word for stupid. I'm pretty sure that's correct. Yes, you're spot on there. You're spot on. Lucky Jinx, I'm gonna head out now. I don't think today is going for me to be in here. Bye, everyone. Enjoy the stream. Well, that's too bad. That's too bad. Well, have a good day, Lucky Jinx. Have a fantastic morning. Let's see here. Let's see here. Let's check it out. The role playing an orc section describes how orcs are indoctrinated into a life of destruction and slaughter, but hold the ability to develop limited capacity and empathy, love, and compassion. Okay, we read it. We read the full thing, and here we go. Welsh Wilson quickly received a wave of backlash, as he should, from fantasy fans who argued that not only are orcs the first conceptualized by J.R.R. Tolkien in his famous Lord of the Rings series, a fictional race, not based on real world minorities. Yeah, I think if I remember correctly, J.R.R. Tolkien actually based the whole War of the Ring on World War II. I think he was involved. I can't remember my J.R.R. Tolkien lore exactly, but I think he was involved in World War II, and he kind of just like George Lucas did. He based his story, his franchise, his big one anyway, his big one on World War II and the experiences he got from that era, and that's basically where he landed on it. I mean, it's really easy to take inspiration from World War II. It's still inspiring writers today. World War II. And it's like the Nazis were like a blatant, easily villainized section of war. It was really easy. Like unlike World War One, where you could easily there was no like blatant evil sides. The World War Two had a easily identifiable evil side to go against. So he made into an easily identifiable evil side to fight against, which were the orcs. Let's see here. A fictional race are not based on a real world minorities, but that Welsh Wilson's assertions was itself racist for assuming that these descriptions were being used in reference to non-white races. Yes, yeah, this seems to be where I land on that one. Let's see here. Hayoka Yukikaze, he was in World War One and said multiple times his books are not inspired such based on his experiences. Yeah, it seems that way. It seems that yeah, I just did a very quick run through. I don't think he was involved in the war, but yeah, it was based on one of the wars. One of the wars. So I couldn't remember correctly. It was World War One or World War Two, but it was a world war that he was inspired by, and it was yeah, World War One, World War One, and so it was he made a blatant enemy to attack. So yeah, even if it was World War One, the idea was that it was a big war that was engulfing the entire world, and World War One was a unique in that nature. Where it really brought in the savagery of war, really the savagery of war. Because if you look at the trajectory of World War One, It went from like your usual, almost gentlemanly, almost kind of still a switch between 18th century or 19th century combat, Revolutionary War, and like even almost little bit of medieval in there, and it grew into this horrific conflict with poisons and more advanced weaponry and all that stuff. So war really changed when World War One came about, and it was a huge world endeavor. It was a huge world conflict. So even if it was just World War One, I think he was alive during World War Two, also, I believe. But even if it was just World War One, that's kind of like how he would might have viewed things. Because I'm pretty sure I read or watched some documentary on World of the Rings, and that's kind of where he was coming from. He's kind of inspired by the World War conflict. Let's see here. Shane Burgess. He also said Lord of the Rings was not an allegory of the Great War. Now, if someone said, I don't know, there's a, I did hear that it was. I did hear that it was. Well, it's not maybe not an allegory for the war, but it was inspired by it. Yeah, not an allegory, but he was inspired by it. That's what the documentary said. That the whole conflict was inspired by it. Like he brought in those sort of elements from it. War never changes, exactly. Yeah, Hicks Harper. The war was conducted one way, and then mustard gas happened, and then mustard gas happened. That's basically what happened. Let's see here. Yeah, it wasn't an allegory, but it was. I think from what I remember from the documentary, it was inspired by some of the Lord of the Rings events were inspired by these conflicts. But either way, the orcs were just bad guys. They weren't minorities. They were just bad guys. I mean, and the lore of Lord of the Rings is that the orcs were corrupted by, what was his name, Morgoth or something like that. I think it was Morgoth. I can't remember. I'm not a huge Tolkien fan. I'm glad people are in the chat though. So, but yeah, the orcs were essentially like corrupted elves or something, and they were just evil creatures made from evil designs. They weren't minorities. Let's see here. Kevithar 138. Allegory, no. Shaped his experience in writing? Yes. So yeah, that's where I was going with that. That's where essentially I think the documentary went. That allegory? No. But did it influence his writing? Yes. Just like World War One and World War Two have continued to influence how people wrote. Like I said earlier, it's just like George Lucas took inspiration from World War Two. Uh, it's not an Star Wars is not an allegory for World War II. Obviously, someone there's no Jedi. There were no Jedi in World War II or anything like that. There was no one brave guy who helped blow up a Nazi Death Star or anything like that. But it did influence the how the story went, and it did influence the ideas you find in Star Wars. Let's see here. But the person who works are basically mooks, pretty much. Yeah, the number Milkor, that's it. I knew it was like something Mil something or. But the guy, the first Dark Lord kind of guy, the one who came before Sauron. Let's see here. Geeky Vicky, he's saying that although the bad guys are bad, they can be good. What's the problem with that? Yeah, that's the only thing the paragraph is saying is that hey, these these orcs that were traditionally bad guys, who just bad guys who are inherently evil traditionally, now they're not inherently evil. Okay, they're listing things that are inherently evil, like gnolls, or I guess such as gnolls. Those are inherently evil. Orcs are saying are not inherently evil, that they can learn love and empathy. And from that, he says this is racist. Okay, sure. General Grievous, did you know that Tolkien never actually settled on the origins of the orcs? Yeah, I think that was I think it was mentioned that they were kind of corrupted elves or something like that. I think I heard that in another rundown of the Silmarillion or something like that. I forgot what it was though. But yeah, the orcs essentially were bad guys. They're just bad guys. And not they weren't a stand-in for any sort of minority. And Gary Stu, there were no Jedi in World War II. But there was a British officer called Mad Jack who went on D-Day landing with a longbow. I know about that guy. I know about that guy. I think it was his name Jack Churchill. Yeah, Jack Churchill. He had confirmed longbow kills, and it was fantastic. You should read about Jack Churchill. He was an interesting fellow. And let's see here. And that's it. John Reddick and Melkor Margoth. Yeah, that's it. He was renamed to Margoth. Yeah, all these Tolkien characters, they have multiple names. I know Sauron has several. Let's see here. Yeah, Melkor and Morgoth, the same person. Yeah, he's got renamed. Let's see here. They will blame the controller. Overwatch. The worst part of the entire stupid thing is that some people actually believe the orc nonsense. Anything to find outraged about, I suppose. Yeah, just anything but find outrage. That's what they want. They need outrage, and can't find anything, so they took a paragraph saying that hey, orcs that were once thought inherently evil, they're not evil anymore. Yeah, they're still orcs, but they're not inherently evil. And they say that's racist. And that's racist. But yes, orcs are they're just bad guys. They're bad guys in Lord of the Rings, like they said in like they mentioned here, and they're bad guys. Okay, they're bad guys in the game. They're just there for to fulfill the ranks of enemies that you can kill without remorse. And that's needed. Okay, you need to have some enemies that you can kill without remorse. Let's see, 1,000 Jutsu. It's an interesting name. I see. That one serves as yeah, Jack was awesome. I heard of him from Count Dankula's Mad Lads. Yeah, you should read about Jack Churchill. That guy was interesting. Very interesting guy. Let's see here. Uh, are Tolkien orcs racist? He explicitly based them off of the stereotype of the Mongol horde, but not actual Mongolians. See, this is it. This is what we mean. They when they see something, they see race, and it's a blatant attack on a certain people. But yeah, there's like I think what was it? The Mongol horde was Game of Thrones. They kind of had the same ideas for the Dothraki. They were inspired by the these hordes of I think they were Mongols. Yeah, I think because the Mongols became nomadic because they lived in the steppes, that they're steppe people. Yeah. So you take ideas, inspirations from other cultures, and you put them into new cultures in your fantasy world, but that doesn't mean that they are those people. He told his son fighting the Axis that there's orcs on both sides of the war, including the Allies building the atom bombs. Tolkien's orcs is an agent of war. Tolkien's orc is an agent of war. That's essentially what it is. I guess that actually fits with the description up here, even though they're not the Tolkien's orcs. That fits with that idea that Jutsu 1000 is saying that the orcs are just agents of war, and that's essentially what it says here, that they have bloodlust, that they're always warlike. Now, the whole orcs resemble black people argument just tells me that people that think murderous, crude monsters represent black people already think black people are like that and are outing their own racist beliefs. That's where I stand on that one, because fantasy creatures, yeah, they're inspired by the author's experiences. Like they're inspired by what the author knows and has taken in. So you can have a race, and you can give them it's like Star Trek always did. They make an alien race, and they give them traits of existing cultures. It might make them bad guys. They might make them enemies, but it doesn't mean they're demonizing the culture. They just want to make them. They just want to give them a personality, and it's easier to adapt something to make it more recognizable to us than it is to build a culture from the ground up. Which is essentially like why they usually make new cultures warrior people. Every time you see a lot of new cultures in D&D or in Star Trek, and a lot of the time if they're feeling lazy or they need a new enemy, they're always like warrior cultures with a code and a sense of honor or duty, and I remember that they have like the hunters from Voyager. They're essentially warriors. Essentially, another warrior race that gets honor through hunting. and you have the Klingons, and even the Romulans. They're more settled on intrigue, but they have a sense of honor and duty and all that stuff too. And apparently now they're Irish, so I don't know. Things change, I guess. Things change a lot. And I see John Reddick. The word Hun actually became a word in German, Hun meaning giant, troll, monster. I don't blame them. I don't blame them. Considering what happened between them. Let's see here. Okay, so yeah, I think kind of get the point. The Warcraft orcs. They essentially they started off as enemies, blatant two-dimensional enemies, and they kind of got better. They made them less enemy-like, and give them their own culture and their own identity. But as far as we know, the public know, the orcs are just bad guys. There's bad guys from Lord of the Rings, the bad guys in D&D. They're just bad guys, and they're not meant to be a minority. But they might have. In fact, as far as I can see, they take a lot of inspiration from like Vikings. They raid villages. They're warlike. They go from place to place pillaging things. That's what they do. They pillage. They're just raiders. They're like Vikings. What the Vikings did to England. Essentially, where it goes, chat. So, but they saw orcs, and they thought minority. And then it tells us more about them than it does about us. Let's see here. Okay, so there's that, chat. There's that. But we have so much more to go through. Stick with me. Did you know that here's an interesting thing that got developed yesterday? Or maybe not yesterday, but maybe before yesterday. I think it was yesterday though. But if you're looking, we went over the Last of Us a few days ago, or maybe a few episodes ago. Maybe it was last week or something. However, here's the thing: we were going over the supposed rumors of how it's going to go woke, how Troy Baker was saying keep an open mind when you go into this game, and it was a lot of bad signs. A lot of bad signs. A lot of bad signs going on. However, some brave employee, I think from what I've heard, it was over like a payment dispute or something, leaked The Last of Us Part 2 onto the internet, so we can see the travesty of the game, and from how everyone's reaction, judging from everyone's reaction, it's just as bad as we might think it is, as we thought it was going to be. So chat. So here's where we're going. Your boy Smud Boy actually jumped on this and gave us a good rundown, and it's I think it's one of the first videos that actually pops up when you look up Last of Us 2 leaks. So let's check it out, chat. He goes over the plot and everything, and it should be an interesting watch at the very least. And I have played the first Last of Us, so I'll be able to check out and see what happens. And I still remember at least most of it, I think. It's a very interesting game. I really like playing as Ellie, that one section where you get to play as Ellie, and you're supposed to be like scared and helpless, but I play a lot of stealth games, chat. And it was more like an instance of that movie Watchmen with Rorschach. When I was playing Ellie in the first Last of Us, it was more of like I'm not trapped in here with you. You're trapped in here with me. This is how to go around eliminating all these bad guys easily. See, back to 702. This is why I support the idea of gatekeeping when dealing with these SJWs. They cannot be allowed into good entertainment and fandom at all. See, it's one thing to, it's different from gatekeeping, like something like conservatives or whatever, because at least they might have some interesting ideas, might bring in different ideas, but the SJWs don't bring in different ideas. Their whole thing is destroying the ideas that already exist in order to push a blatant agenda. They're a faction of extremists, and they tend to ruin things to fit their extremism and to propel their own egos. Let's see here. John Bishop, open mind has stopped meaning being willing to consider a proposition and has warped into you should accept things uncritically. Yeah, that's pretty spot on right there. Pretty spot on. Let's check it out, chat. Let's see here. I heard it was pretty bad. It was pretty bad.
Good afternoon, folks, and I'm going to do a little video on the leaks of The Last of Us Part 2. If you don't want to be spoiled or if you don't want to hear about them, just stop watching the video. I don't really know much about The Last of Us. That's why I thought I'd have a more objective view of the story. I can tell you what could work and what can't work just from the synopsis or the plot points therein. And we can all do that by assessing how this would work for an audience who's expecting a certain sequel. So if I recall correctly, again, I didn't play the first game, but I do think that the heroes of that story were Joel and Ellie. So you got to control Joel at least, and it was a big struggle to survive and get through and figure out what's causing this whole outbreak and why the world is the way it is.
See, if you didn't play The Last of Us Part 1, it ended with Ellie apparently is unique in that she holds the secrets of finding a cure for the plague. And The Last of Us, it's not like a rage virus or something. It's actually caused by spores. So there's like a plant. There's a plant out there, and that produces spores. And when you breathe in the spores, your brain gets infected, and then you essentially become a zombie. And what happens is you start growing these the little plant things on you. You start becoming a plant essentially, and it takes over your brain. And at the end of the day, at the end of your lifespan, instead of like decaying like normal zombies, you go to a place and you kind of meld within like a wall or something like that, and then your body just decays and becomes food for the spores, and then the spores eject, and if you breathe it in, the process starts all over again, and it gets really creepy. These things are really interesting creatures. But Ellie was supposed to be had essentially was supposed to have blood or something in her that holds the cure to all of this. And at the end of the day, at the very end of the game, Joel's mission was to get her to a certain place so that they can operate on her and get the cure out there. But thing is, the trade off was in order to get that cure, Ellie was going to have to die, and so Joel had to move in, and he killed all the surgeons that were operating on her, and he rescued her, essentially destroying the last chance of humanity to get a cure. But you save Ellie in the process, and that's where we left off on part 1. The Dracious V, thank you for the 10, appreciate that. I had a bad feeling that The Last of Us, when a video discussing Naughty Dog layoffs noted they laid off multiple people and brought in a bunch of people from Hollywood. Yeah, you never want to. That's like laying off a bunch of. That's like stop eating vegetables, and then starting to ingest this straight poison. As a Naughty Dog overworked staff. Yeah, hiring people from Hollywood, that's just poison. Just stick with your old staff. All right, stick with your vegetables and your steaks. Don't go for the don't go for the rat poison. You won't have a good day. You will not have a good day. So that's a little recap of what's going on where we left off in part 1. And Last of Us was pretty good. I had a lot of fun playing Last of Us Part 1. It was really interesting. It was a really interesting story, interesting game. I really liked how things progressed and I like how the new take on the zombie apocalypse was taken on. And it was not just the next zombie virus. It was actually a development of nature, which makes it double scary because it's not human. Because if humans did it, we could say, oh, maybe they might not ever do it here. But it was nature. It was essentially kind of like nature fighting against humanity. So it was very interesting. It was very interesting.
So you got to know those characters, and Joel did a lot of violent things of Stay Alive, and some of that's coming back to bite him now in this story. So we see that from the perspective of Ellie, as you get to control her through half the game, as well as one of the characters that Joel's killed this character's father in the previous game, I believe. So that would be a revenge plot in the second half of The Last of Us Part 2. So let's see what these pictures show about The Last of Us Part 2. So You play the first half of the game as Ellie and the second half as Abby. And that is voiced by Laura Bailey, and she's pretty prominent in, I think, the voice acting community. I think she was Blood Rain, and she might have played one character.
Yeah, Laura Bailey. She's right now she's mostly known for being one of the players in Critical Role with Matt Mercer. Turns out all this stuff comes full circle, doesn't it, chat? We just got done talking about D&D, and here's Laura Bailey popping up, and she's mostly known these days as being a player in a D&D game called Critical Role. So it's odd how all these things stick together, and now we know that it's being ruined. It's being ruined. The Last of Us Part 2 is being ruined.
I think we've been Bianca or one of the elves, one of the dwarves in Dragon Age Inquisition. I can't recall.
I see a Zayukia. There is no Last of Us Part 1. There's a Last of Us. There's just The Last of Us. Last of Us 2 doesn't exist. It doesn't actually. You're correct. Technically, yeah, you're correct. It's in development. Doesn't exist yet, and thanks to the leak, apparently it's being pushed back indefinitely. So hopefully it never comes out. Because if it does, it's going to be canonical. So hopefully it doesn't come out. So I'm right with you, Zayukia, that hopefully it never does actually come out. Let's see here. Bagel Theory. Yeah, they went with Bagel Theory on this one, chat. Never go full bagel. Maniac Man 2030. I feel bad for Laura Bailey. Yeah, Laura Bailey doesn't seem like a bad person. She's just always like talking about positive stuff, as far as I've seen anyway. By the way, Laura Bailey she always plays like the most famous characters on Critical Role. I think one of the ones everyone loves is Jester. Everyone always loves Jester. Always making like fan animations about Jester. Everyone loves it. Everyone loves it. Shane Burgess Tolkien makes clear in wartime letters written to his son that if it were to be viewed metaphorically as a violent, boorish, uncivilized person, would be well represented in every country. Yes, exactly. It was I've seen that before. I've seen like the accusations of racism tossed toward Tolkien before, but they don't really understand how writers tend to work. And Tolkien, I'm pretty sure there was no indication that was a minority character. They're not minority race. They are an agent of war, like that one commentator said. The orcs are an agent of war. This like kind of like Saruman eventually he was a traitor. He represented I don't know what he represented actually. He eventually betrayed his own people, his own station to side with evil. Very, very good stuff. Very good stuff. But the orcs were just agents of war. They were bad guys for the good guys to overcome because they needed those. And yes, I've seen all those videos about how Sauron was really a good guy and how the orcs are really misunderstood. No, that's interesting to. It's interesting to maybe uh, entertain the thought for a little while, but no, that's not how it goes. Sauron was legitimately a horrible person, and the orcs were terrible. They're just a horrible, horrible people, or not even people. They're just horrible, horrible beasts and monsters.
It's one of those dwarf characters. Okay, so you play as this character right here in the second half, and I believe you have this fellow called Lev following you around. So it's kind of reminiscent of the first game in that regard. The game has you fighting Ellie from the respective Abby. Yes, that happens. Okay.
Okay, so what I've heard about this so far is that okay, so I told you in the ending of Last of Us, there's a bunch of surgeons and doctors operating on Ellie, and Joel rushes in to you kill them all and you rescue Ellie. Now, according to this, they have a transgender woman named Abby, who is the daughter of one of these surgeons, and and during the game you play as the transgender Abby. They would make a big deal that she's transgender or whatever, but you play as her, and when you play as her, you kill Ellie, and the same character kills Joel. So just like Rey and Kylo Ren were supposed to usurp the roles of the original trilogy characters like Luke, Leia, and Han, by having everyone else die off. Abby is the new blood. She's supposed to be the new character. She kills Joel, as far as I've heard from leaks, and you play as her to kill Ellie. You kill the people from the protagonists from the first game. They die in this game apparently.
Dina is pregnant with Jesse's baby. Her and Ellie are trying to start a family. So it seems as Ellie and Dina are close. So that seems to be true as well. So here's the big reveal that Joel dies at the hands of Abby. There's a scene early on in the game where Joel gets his skull caved in by Abby with a golf club. Later on, a scene between Ellie and Dina takes place where Dina explicitly.
So not only does a Joel die, the main character of the last game. Not only does he dies early on in this game. Who thought that was a good idea? Everyone loved Joel. He was the guy that you played as. It's like you had Super Mario Brothers 1, and you played as Mario and Luigi. In Super Mario Brothers 2, Super Mario and Luigi both die in a tragic accident permanently forever early on in the game. What is going on here? What's going on? Why would you do that? That's a horrible idea. Whether it's subverting our expectations, we want to play as Joel again. If not Joel, we want to play as Ellie. Those are the only two options here. Okay, that's pretty much it. It's like if you ever played Assassin's Creed and you had the brother, the one about Ezio Auditore. It's like if you had he has a trilogy. It's like if you played the Assassin's Creed 2 and played as Ezio, and then you had Assassin's Creed Brotherhood, which is supposed to be continuing the story. But in the Brotherhood, you start off as Ezio, and then he dies, and someone else takes over. Okay, it's like you start off as Ezio. We wanted to continue playing Ezio. You start off as this is part 2. That's what was part 2. We want to continue the story of Joel and Ellie. But no, according to this, not only did they kill off Joel, but he gets his head caved in by their transgender character Abby early on in the game.
Mentions Joel and Jesse being dead. Okay, so here's the main character from the first game dying by one of the characters you control in the second game. So already you're like, okay, that's going to be controversial because characters easily identified with Joel in the first game and the stuff he did. It was justified in some capacity. Maybe not completely justified, but you went along with it enough to care about the character, to keep playing the game, to keep wanting to know what happens. So what this means is that the second game must provide sufficient evidence for two things. And if these two things don't work, you're going to piss off a lot of people. For one, the motivations of Abby and why she's killing Joel have to be explained well enough for us to go, okay.
Yeah, essentially, the plot we have so far is that Abby was the daughter of one of those surgeons that Joel killed in the first game. Usual standard revenge plot. We think that would make her an antagonist, considering her dad was going to kill Ellie, and that Joel and Ellie are the good guys that we've been following since the first game. But I guess that's not going to be the case. Abby is going to be the new character.
Yeah, I could see wanting to help Abby kill Joel, or controlling Abby to kill Joel, or allowing Abby to go to the point of killing Joel. We know Joel killed Abby's parent or parents or what have you in the first game in some capacity. We don't know. I don't know exactly. But on that information alone, you have to do a second thing, is you have to properly demonize Joel or give Joel some sort of anti-hero, some sort of...
Now, to be fair, what you do in the first game as Joel could be seen as pretty bad depending on what you do. Because, I mean, the last thing Joel does is break into... is really literally kill his way into the base, save Ellie, and then he murders a bunch of doctors to save Ellie. Now his actions are not all that heroic. He's kind of a black and white character. He can do horrible things, but he's the guy that we follow. He is acting out of love, acting out of empathy. He and Ellie have grown attached, like a father and daughter. So. Yeah, he's not the most heroic, but he is actually a paragon compared to the other people we meet in that game, which are just horrible people. And so, Woman Service Tanya. So, are you playing as an evil character or a mentally unstable character here? Considering the politics of, as the previous super chat said, that they added in a bunch of people from Hollywood, there's no way they're going to make this trend. Because I've heard that. Yeah, it is confirmed that the character is transgender. There's no way they'll make a transgender character evil or mentally unstable. There's no way. And it looks like they're gonna make this new Abby character the new main character. She kills off the old ones. So I don't think so. I don't think so. I think she starts off as an antagonist to begin with. Like you fight against her to begin with, and she wins, and then you play as her, and then you win. She kills Joel, and then she kills Ellie. So that's what we're facing down. So hopefully this game never comes out. I don't want to see Joel die. I don't want to see his head caved in by a golf club. You go through a lot when you play as Joel. You overcome so many odds. You don't want to see him die like that. That's ridiculous. Why would you? Azukia, Abby killed Joel because he didn't refer to him as an attack helicopter. I believe it. Yeah. Yeah. You may have killed my father. That's fine. I can forgive you for that. But you dead named me. So time to bash your skull in. As we've seen from reading Deadbeats, that seems to be a likely possibility. And Dreshers V, I expected Joel to die too, but more more so it's the way he's dying that makes me mad. Yeah, he just gets killed by some random girl guys, something like that, and gets his head caved in. Essentially, what happened? He gets his head caved in. You think he would die defending Ellie, and then Ellie would move on, and like he'll die defending Ellie, and then you say, I'll hold him back. You're on your own now. I'll catch up, and then he dies, and then he plays Ellie. Now, the next thing would be she's on her own. She's trying to survive for once in her life without Joel there to protect her, because he was the protector. He was the one who did all the saving, all the protecting. In the last game, he protected Ellie's life. He was a good idea of you know what? It's if you take it that way, he's another situation of a masculine role model that they're killing off because they can't have it. He was grizzled and he was masculine and he was very stoic, and he took all the blows and hits, and he kept moving on. He's a very good role model of masculine virtues, despite some of his actions might not being so heroic. And now look what they did. Look what they did to him. Look how they massacred my boy. So yeah, this demonizing masculinity again, I guess. Just killing it off. It would be so much better story-wise and narrative-wise, going on from the last of Us, watching Joel die for Ellie, and then have Ellie run away early on in the game. If you want to do it early on in the game, that'd be the way to do it. Have Joel die for Ellie against new enemy. We wait to introduce a new enemy, maybe to this cult or whatever, because the new enemy is I think a Christian cult that's going around trying to purify people or something. And it'd be so interesting if you want to do it this way, then have Joel die to the Christian cult, so we hate them to begin with. We see how dangerous they are, and it'll throw us a new twist, showing that Ellie, for once in her life, is on her own, and she can't defend herself, or she's going to have to learn how to defend herself without relying on Joel. It's kind of like that one the part in the hero's journey where the hero loses the mentor, where the mentor dies or is otherwise separated from the mentor. The mentor was a safety net, and Joel was very much the mentor of Ellie during that time. And so if you separate Ellie from the mentor, which is Joel, this will continue her hero's journey. Okay, it would continue it. It'll be a necessary step in her growth as a character. Now she's on her own, no safety net, no Joel to defend her. Now that would be okay with Joel dying in that situation. Apparently they're going to kill off Joel, and they're going to kill off Ellie, and then usurp their roles with a new character that they wanted to have. Kind of like the whole Marvel situation. I might be writing Thor, but I don't want to write about Thor. I want to make my own Thor. Let's see here. Imagination. Image of the 5. A straight white male is supposed to die. How can we possibly F this up intentionally? Very beginning of the game, of course. It's always very beginning of the game. That could be interesting at the very beginning of the game if he sacrificed himself for Ellie, and then we had to play the rest of the game trying to develop Ellie as a character trying to survive on her own for once in life without Joel. But not this way. Not this way, right? I don't think so. Unless Abby is part of the cult or something. I'm not really sure. But I think she's supposed to become the new protagonist. So I'm not sure if he's part of the cult or not. Say the new servant of Satania, the one servant of Satania. Maybe Abby is an orc. Now that might be a thought. Might be a thought.
Nature to his behavior where he's gone too far and he has to be stopped. If you give him a gray area, if you give him sort of like this unknown, lawless, he's doing it for this, but there's other bad reasons involved, theory or reasoning, you're not going to get people to like this scenario. You're not going to agree. It's going to be done for shock value, and it's going to be like, oh, this happened because Abby was looking for revenge. So you have to sell those two things. You have to sell the reasoning behind Abby, why she's doing it, and why she's going about the way she's doing it, and the demonization or the proper understanding why Joel must be killed. So there has to be a lot of setup for those two things. And if those two things aren't present, then you're going to piss off people automatically. Doesn't matter the context, doesn't matter how it's done. You have to give sufficient reasoning for these two ideas, so that characters go, okay, now I have to kill Joel. Like if Joel in the first game killed someone and then he kept going on a killing spree, and that involved him getting out of control and destroying lives, and he was really just a horrible despot and just started eliminating people. It's like, okay, this guy is a marauder or some sort. We got to eliminate him. So you have to turn him into an anti-hero. You have to turn him into a villain, which could make sense. I could see that happening in a survival game like this, where you just kill to survive. You just keep going and going. And he's like, oh, he's a mad, crazy dog that you have to put down. Or he's a despot, keeps getting power. You have to put him down because his regime is so big. So that could work. There's other contexts, of course, to play that out, but you have to give sufficient reasoning outside of context. Say, well, why does he have to die? And if it's just a cutscene, you're going to piss a lot of people off. And I don't think there's going to be a choice prompt to kill or not kill. So that would have resolved things rather easily, and given the freedom for the player to do that. So this seems to be a linear story. That this must happen. So if those two things don't work, you will piss these people off regardless. So here's
And there's the character Abby. There's Abby. Is the character that kills Joel, the new character coming in. I think some people thought this was a man, like not a transgender or anything like that, but a man. And yeah, this is the new character chat. This is where the future of The Last of Us. This is the one. It's not Joel and Ellie anymore. You couldn't even have Ellie be the main character. Okay, this person is going to be taking over the franchise. That's what it seems like. Should the second one come in? The second one eventually land. This person's going to be taking over the franchise, it seems. And this is the person who kills Joel, apparently in the beginning of the game, or very early on, with the golf club for revenge. And then kills Ellie later on. So he never pays for killing Joel. Never pays for the guy we've been following for a whole game. Never pays for it. This kills the old guard, kills the characters we loved from the last game, and that's it. That's the end of it.
Abby looks like she's got her 9-iron there, and there's Joel on the ground. And here we have, I think, Dina and Ellie. So
oh yeah.
here's
By
Dina
the way,
saying,
if you don't remember, they made Ellie, I think, bisexual, because of course they did. Yeah, because of course they did. They brought in writers from Hollywood. Of course they're going to add stuff in. They didn't have to, but they did. They made it the bad guy. They made the new protagonist transgender, the one who's going to kill everybody, kill Joel and kill Ellie. And they made Ellie bisexual. I think that's what the rumors were.
you know what? I'm just supposed to sit here and wait for you for God knows how long, just thinking you're dead the entire time. I don't plan on dying. Well, neither did Jesse or Joel. So we know those two characters died. And here's Ellie, and she's crying at the funeral, or at least it's the marker for Joel Miller. So there we go. So then there's a scene near the end, I imagine, as you control Abby. So it's Abby versus Ellie. And they're talking about Abby about to kill Ellie. Ellie is saying that Dina's pregnant. Abby's good. She wants to kill Dina as well. And then Lev comes in and tries to calm down Abby. And then Abby says, well, if you let me catch sight of you again, she's going to kill Ellie. Okay.
Is he Al Bundy? So the trans killer is our new hero at the end. That's what I've heard from the rumors. That's what I've heard from the rumors. That yeah, she kills Ellie at the end. So she kills Joel in the beginning, and she's like a person you fight against in the beginning, and she kills Joel. And then at the end, this new transgender character or whatever, you play as her to kill Ellie because Ellie goes insane or something like that. Space Orchard. I think Ellie was gay or bi in the first game's DLC or something. I never played the DLC. I just played the main game. But yeah, Ellie was always like a little tomboyish. I remember her making fun of people going to the mall for makeup and stuff. It's one of the things you can listen to. So that part is not actually too. It's not actually that bad or anything. It's not bad at all actually. But it would be one thing if it was made by the same people who made the last game. You know, just organic characterization. But now that they had added in these people from Hollywood and stuff, now it just taints a little bit because you know their intentions are no longer coming from a place of love and passion about the story, and love and passion about the characters are staying loyal to the characters. Now it feels like it's going to be more along the lines of instead of organic characterization, it's going to be we're trying to push an agenda here. But let's see here. Criminal Imagination, which was 10. Oh, don't worry. Sony made sure to plaster that fact all over the first official trailer. She kisses smelly girls. Never not be grossed out by that trailer. Yeah, very interesting trailer. Very interesting trailer. But yeah, according to the leaks, what I heard about the leaks and everything, yeah, you play as Abby. As if she's going to be the new main character, and you play as Abby. It's cruel that you have to play. They make you play not only do they kill off Ellie at the end, they kill off Joel in the beginning, and not only do they kill off Ellie at the end, they kind of make you pull the trigger. They make you play as the character that murders her. And see, Terranigma. Say this woke implementation could work in smaller levels. If it was written properly in a subtle way, but if it was written in a subtle way, it wouldn't really be woke. It'd be almost more akin to the idea of what Stan Lee tried to provide, because they put in social issues and stuff, but they do it in a blatant, overt manner, and they kind of put it in as a core of the story. If you see them, usually they do. If you see how they do it. Now, they always put Stan Lee as doing the same thing, but he didn't do the same thing. He put in social issues, but he put them in the background. It kind of like he was inspired by these social issues to create stories and characters. So you can write. So you're able to read X-Men and not have to not notice that it's like it does anything with the civil rights movement. But you can, if you want to, look at it that way, but you don't have to. You can just read X-Men and see a group of people fight bad guys. You can do that because it's not rubbing it in your face. It's not preaching to you at every second. So that's how that works. It's there if you want it, but if you don't want it, you can just switch it off. You can just ignore it, or not even never notice it, and you can enjoy it. And you can enjoy it any way you want to. It's up to the reader. The way they do it nowadays, it's up to the writer. Okay, the writer allows you to ignore it or not. So the way Stanley did it, the reader was allowed to read it any way they want to, as an adventure or as an allegory or as a metaphor or anything like that. Nowadays, there is no choice. It's just a stand-in. It's political preaching painted as comic book characters. But yeah, if they did it more subtly, if they didn't do it by demonizing people and things like that, it would be a lot better. It would be a lot better, a whole lot better. I don't think a lot of people will be complaining as much, not nearly as much. Let's see, Matthew J. Nuno. I'm curious as to why this is coming out of Sony. Aren't Japanese companies not really woke? Or is it just a manga and anime? I think Sony's pretty bad about this stuff, as far as I've heard. They tend to do this sort of thing. And Sony's really, really infamous about ruining things. Or eventually ruining things. I don't know. I see Darth Milk. So now the trans character is killing the gay character, and that's our new good thing that we're supposed to empathize with, murdering lesbians Is this the L in the LGBTQAAIP2? Apparently.
So there has to be a really good camaraderie, really good second half of the game between Lev and Abby that get them to be buddy, kind of like best friend or mother son sort of dynamic, where we have the softer side of Lev kind of played the same way Ellie was in the first game, I believe, and having Abby calm down. That could work. We're not sure if she actually does kill Ellie or what have you at this point. They're still having a conversation, so they're still talking. And here is Dina, I believe. There's Ellie on the ground, so that's when Lev comes in and stops them, I believe. Okay, so this is all based off another 4chan summary, which is right here, the screen cap from, where was that? April? Could have been a month ago. People were saying it was a month ago. But this is the general synopsis, if you want a beat by beat or plot point by plot point. So, one of the surgeons Joel killed had a daughter called Abby. Okay, that's in the first game. The Firefly Massacre destroyed her whole life. She's been looking for revenge ever since. So Abby is this little girl that has been trying to kill or seek out those who killed her parents or her parent. So I believe it's someone knew who Ellie was because of her dad talking about her shot at a cure and figured out Joel from the Firefly records. So some event called the Firefly Massacre. Abby did some legwork and figured out, all right, probably this guy named Joel. So there's a cult. We don't know, again, the context of the cult, we don't know. They just...
And see, the author, thank you, Richard, too. Appreciate that. Screw these SJWs, they ruin everything. I think that's their job. That's what they want to do. It's kind of their goal, I think. Nexus 906, thank you, Richard, too. Sony's HQ is on the West Coast now. Interesting. Is that why they tend to become infamous for messing up and ruining things? Let's see here. Appreciate that. Let's see here. So yeah, Sony has gotten a probably kind of an infamous reputation for kind of ruining things. I don't know why. I mean, I don't know why they think that rooting things is the best way to go, but that's tend to be where they go. It's tend to be where they like to go. I have no idea why. I don't know why all these companies think. I have an idea. I think if we ruin this very popular property, they would love it. But so far, I haven't seen his video. I haven't seen the leaks, but I've heard everywhere that this bad guy is this new character Abby is transgender. But I'm not seeing any confirmation on that one. But I've been seeing everywhere she's transgender. You think it'd be something they would be touting all the time? So maybe we haven't gotten to it yet. Maybe she just maybe they just assumed she was transgender because she had a very manly frame. I don't know, because some people thought she was a man, but it's not a man. It's a girl. She could just be another boyish Tom girl character like Ellie was. And see here, Mr. X. Thank you much for the clips. I don't know what the denomination is, but they appreciate that. Thank you very much. Games director is an outspoken Sarkeesian fan. Not surprised at all with this. Most people with sense left Naughty Dog some time ago. Oh, okay, so it's one of those situations. Okay, like all the someone was put in charge and they all disagreed with it. Like all the reasonable people disagreed with it and left or were laid off. It seemed, and they kind of replaced it with the Hollywood people. Hex Harper, thanks for the 499. Appreciate that. Cult offs Joel play as Abby. Abby and Ellie bond throughout the game. Abby suddenly kills Ellie at the end because vengeance. Fix your plot hole. I don't know. I'm not sure where it's going now. But yeah, I would think they'll be going with. They're going to bond together. They're just going to bond together for a while, and then it's going to be a betrayal of friends. I wouldn't be surprised because I wouldn't be surprised now that you've mentioned that she is a Sarkeesian person in charge, and Hollywood writers came in. I wouldn't be surprised if they actually was transgender. I've been seeing that all over the place because I haven't looked at the leaks until I watched this video, and she's transgender and all that stuff. So I haven't seen it, but you think there'll be something that'll be advertising everywhere? I guess we'll see.
A cult. It could be right leaning. It could be very religious. We're not sure. It doesn't really matter. It's how it's done that counts. Cult attacks Ellie's settlement, and she, Jesse, and Dinah are part of the group sent to track down and attack it, and Jesse is killed during this. Okay. So there's a cult. It kills a bunch of people, and Jesse gets killed in the process. So Jesse,
one of the things that came out in before the leaks came out, that the rumor was, because all we had were rumors to go on. We covered those. Is that the new enemies, the new bad guys, they're going to be not a cult, not just a cult, but a Christian cult that are kind of like purifying people. Like it's like an old-fashioned witch hunt or something like that. So I wouldn't be surprised if there's adding in all the usual woke stuff in there. I wouldn't be surprised at all. Let's see here. Criminal Imagination, thank you for the 5. Appreciate that. Sony has a history of censoring anime-like games before moving to Kali. The censoring got worse and more open after the move. Interesting. Yeah. So I think we're getting into why they were so bad. why Sony has such an infamous reputation. Let's see here. Okay, let's continue then.
Jesse and Dinah are obviously close, and she's friends and close with Ellie. So already you have sympathy for Ellie and her group. We see that because you're playing the first game as Ellie, so that would be more drama for those characters. That makes sense. You see some conflict, you see some tragedy, you see a plight that Ellie has to go through. Ellie is now violently angry and goes to Seattle looking for the cult's home to wipe it out. Meets Joel there because he heard about Jesse and came back to help her. Okay, so here we have the two characters coming back.
If you know Ellie is kind of really capable already in the first game. She's really good at stealth. There's a whole section where you have to play as Ellie, and she goes through, and she kills a bunch of marauders, and then she kills like one of the bosses of that marauder all on her own with her pocket knife. So Ellie, like, combine Joel and Ellie, but Ellie is pretty capable on her own. So I could see that. I could see that happening, where she goes on a revenge trek to go defeat the people who killed Joel, wiping out the cult in return.
This is all good. This is good stuff. So we have the characters we liked from the first game coming back, and now they're teaming up again. And Ellie now has motivation. The problem becomes the cult. Is the cult right wing? Is it a pastiche? What is it? Is it a joke to give Ellie a target to kill?
No, I'm not really sure, but let's see here. John Reddick, yeah, but why specifically Christian cult? I'm not really sure. I mean, this is demonized Christians, but I'm not really sure because we only had, before the leaks came out, we only had rumors to go on, and that's what it said. That the rumors said there was going to be like a Christian cult, or at least it wasn't just a cult; it was a Christian cult, and they were using that religion to kind of like purify people or something like that. I forgot what it was. I think they're like trying to give people the virus, or they're trying to take it away, or something like that. One of those two. But that's what the rumors had reported on. That was going to be a cult, and that Ellie had a girlfriend, and I think they said Ellie was bisexual, and her girlfriend was lesbian, and that's one of the things that they noted. That's what we got, and some of these have been confirmed in leaks. I think it takes a little bit.
We don't know. Again, context really matters in that regard. But it does give Ellie some more motivation because her friend got killed, or Jesse at least got killed. All right, so then Abby finds Ellie because she's been in conflict with the cult too. Okay, so everyone's against the cult. So the cult bad.
Cult bad guys, yeah.
Good. Abby so far angry at Joel. And now we have a common...
So I guess that's how they bond. Abby, who kills Joel, I guess they might team up. She might teams up with Ellie, I guess, to fight the cult, because they're both against the cult.
Enemy in the cult, so maybe that's how they connect, maybe how they get involved. So when Ellie hunts them to Seattle and is set to track them with Joel, her group find them and attack. So it seems as if Abby has a group and Ellie has a group, and they're all hunting down this cult because they killed Jesse. So Ellie and Abby both have a a plot of revenge, essentially. So she, as an Abby, kills Joel herself, takes Ellie back to camp, debating what to do with her, since for all her hate, she doesn't blame her for the massacre. Okay, so that sounds about right, as from the photos. So there has to be extremely good amount of details. What makes Joel worth killing, and how Joel is depicted. So it's the motivation from Abby, her reasoning, all the things that caused her to go be murderous, and then there's Joel and his scenario, why he deserves to be murdered outside of Abby. So there has to be those two things that have to work. And if one of them doesn't work, you're going to get a lot of people pissed off right there.
Okay, if I remember, because now that I think I'm starting to remember this. Okay, so I think Joel's worked for the Firefly group in the beginning of the first game, and he was trying to get Ellie to the base of the Fireflies to so that they can operate on Ellie and they can get a cure. That was the whole reason for their journey. And then he turned her in at the very end, towards the end of the game. And I think that's what happens is that he finds out that they're going to kill her to get the cure, and he says no, and he goes in and he massacres the Fireflies and rescues Ellie. I think that might be what happened because I know there's a big fight at the end with Joel fighting a bunch of people and the surgeons and stuff. I don't think those are bandits. I think that was he fought the Fireflies, if I remember correctly. Then, so yeah, but Joel at the end kind of betrays his own people and kills them all to save Ellie. But yeah, like I said, Joel is not the most heroic of people. He kind of he chose Ellie over pretty much everyone else. But I guess it's all up to you how you view that. But I think that's what happened at the end of the first game, if I remember correctly.
Ellie butchers her group to escape, and Abby is now motivated to hunt her down. Okay, so here's the conflict. So we had a communal target.
Yeah, you play the first game, you know that Ellie is very capable of butchering a whole group of people. At least Ellie got a little bit of revenge back at Abby. So there's that. And yeah, Ellie. It seems like they're going to be characterizing Ellie as really, really dangerous in here, which is good because she was pretty dangerous in the first game.
The cult that's been dealt with. Ellie then finds her plot goal: kill Joel. That's been dealt with, and Ellie's been captured. And Ellie kills Abby's group to escape. And now I guess Ellie wants to hunt her down too. I don't know. Unless Abby is now motivated to hunt her down. I'm not sure who that's implying. So second half of the game is spent Abby chasing Ellie. I imagine Abby would be angry at Ellie butchering her group. So it seems like Abby is now hunting down Ellie. So it's kind of like a reversal. Ellie wanted to kill the cult for killing her friend Jesse. And Abby comes by also wanting to do that, but ends up also killing Joel. And Ellie gets captured from that. Ellie escapes, kills all of Abby's friends or Abby's group. Now Abby's like, "Oh, you did not just do that. I'm going after you." So it's kind of like give and take. Now you killed him. Now I'm going to kill your group. Now I'm going to go after you because you killed my group. Okay, all right, this could work.
Okay, here's the rest of it though. Ellie continues hunting the cult while you chase her down. So you don't play as Ellie when you're hunting down the cult, as it seems like you're going to in the beginning of the game. You instead, the second half of the game, it says you're switching to Abby, and you're spending time not fighting the cult but hunting down Ellie. And then the ending is Ellie versus Abby fighting to the death, and you kill Ellie as Abby, and she leaves while realizing she has not really won in a meaningful way, since all she's done is get more of her loved ones killed for the sake of her killing Joel and then Ellie. Poor Abby. It's all about Abby. Poor her. You killed Ellie and Joel, the main characters of the last game that the players really, really enjoyed. Really, really enjoyed. So poor you, Abby. You killed the main characters that we really enjoyed, and it's all about how sad and tragic, unfortunate you are. The ending is cycle of revenge with the loose implication Ellie's friends will hunt Abby down now in return. Yeah, the cycle of revenge thing, pretty good, but killing off the main characters from the last game so you can have your new main character, Not so good unless it's going to be the final installment. We don't want that. We want Ellie and Joel again, and we want Ellie to survive, or we want her to die a heroic death, or something like that. So at least some, maybe not a heroic death, maybe just a tad bit noble death, because Joel had committed some horrible deeds in the last game, but his motivations were somewhat noble, even though he massacred a bunch of people to do it. But he saved Ellie so she wouldn't have to die to save everyone else. Because one of the things of The Last of Us, the game, was that Joel kind of it seems like it was kind of implied that Joel thought, it's not worth sacrificing Ellie to save humanity, because he faced a lot of humanity, a lot of horrible people in the last game, a lot of horrible examples of humanity, and it seems like Joel said, "You know what? Never mind. Okay, Ellie's not worth saving these people." It seems to be so more or less that way. But anyway, this is not looking too great. I can't. They make you kill Ellie, the person you really enjoyed in the last game, along with Joel. Not looking good. Not looking good, chat. Okay, a few more things. Let's see. The cool Firebird, though the Fireflies weren't innocent either. They were terrorists. Yeah, I think they had. They were known as terrorists also. Let's see here. See, Alex says there are graves. The big reasons why we wanted to see Last of Us 2 is see what happened to the main character. Exactly. I want to see what happens to Joel. I don't want to see them die. I want to see them struggle, sure, but I don't want maybe Joel dies. But I don't want to. We don't want to see Ellie die. We might, if we want to see Joel dies, Joel should die defending Ellie. And like I said before, she loses a mentor in Joel, and she has to continue on her own. It's like and if you ever played The Walking Dead, like Telltale's A Walking Dead game, where you play is essentially that formula. You play as the main character in the first game, and he dies at the end of the first game, and then you start playing as Clementine for the rest of the games, because she lost her mentor. She loses her mentor, and that's where it goes. And essentially be like that. Same setup. Except Clementine isn't as important as Ellie, because Ellie has a cure for the virus pumping through her veins. Clementine is a normal person. And let's see, Matthew J. Nimnall reminds me of what they did with Gears of War 4 through 5 cycle. A lot of feeding main characters to the fire to promote new, less interesting blood. That's essentially what they do. They kind of take over. You put the reins of a franchise in the hands of an NPC type. They kind of burn the old stuff, and then they make new stuff. There's no loyalty to the established characters. No loyalty to the established lore. They basically pull a Rian Johnson and just say, forget that. I'm just going to use a label so I can get my name known. I'm not going to uphold the lore. I'm not going to be loyal to the characters or the investment the fans have given to the franchise so far. I'm just going to make my own thing and have instant success because I'm using it under a popular title. Let's see here. I want to see Ellie die and play as an unhinged Joel. That'd be an interesting turning around of things. That would be an interesting development. Yeah, just instead of having Ellie lose Joel and then she she developed from there, you could have Joel lose Ellie again. I mean, not again, but Joel's backstory was that he lost his daughter. You got to see it in the beginning of The Last of Us. He lost his daughter. She died in his arms, and having that happen again after all he did for Ellie, he would go on a murderous rampage. It would probably break him completely. And see, Space Orchard, I think a critic pointed out in their review that the Fireflies came across as incompetent from the player and Joel's perspective because all their stuff fell apart before you meet them. And pretty much, I think I remember something like that. But the Fireflies, you didn't feel bad about killing them. You just wanted to save Ellie. Let's see here. Let's check it out. Okay, so I have a few videos if you want to go through them, chat. Let's see. I have the CinemaSins, Everything Wrong with the Joker. The CinemaSins, Everything Wrong with the Joker. I have this really old video from 2018 that's really infamous. It's called "Shut Up About Plot Holes" by the most disingenuous critic on earth, Patrick Willems, the guy who says, "Is this a movie about space wizards intended for children?" That guy, while still caring about Star Wars, while still saying Star Wars is important, or not even saying it's important. But it's a movie about space raiders intended for children when it suits him, and then it's really important deep stuff when it suits him also. So I have these two set up. I have a really long one called "Should Video Games Be Political?" And then I have a few more we can go through. But what do you think, chat? Should we go through the Patrick Willems of Shut Up About Plot Holes, or should we go through the Cinema Sins? Or should we go through the videos that says "Should video games be political"? I'll let you decide, chat. I'll let you decide on that one, chat. Cinema. So, friends, I'm having a sleep. Or did Ellie say cinnamon sins? Yes, the cinnamon sins video. You can't let them get away. What they do? Can't let cinnamon get away with its horrible travesties, which it's laid down on humanity. Can't do that, chat. Let's see here. Patrick. Okay, I got Patrick. Let's see here. Political one, the political one, Cinema Sins, political, Cinnamon Sins, Plot Hole, Space Wizards. Let's see here. Let's see here. What? It was like a video games is winning. Should video games be political? It was like that one. Okay. We can do the other ones next time. The other ones next time. So let's see. Let me pull this up real quick. It's a long one, chat. So we might not be able to get through it all today, but we'll get through as much as possible. Let's see here. Should video games be political? Check us out. I've not watched this video yet, but we'll get through as much as possible, chat. Uh-oh. Hold on, chat. 1 second. Yeah, hopefully you can still hear me. Got a little hiccup here. Got a little hiccup. Let's see. Wait for the hiccup to pass. Hopefully it passes soon. Little freezing. I'm not even sure you can still hear me, but we'll see. Just wait for it to go through. Okay, so yeah, I'm just having some trouble here, chat. I'm having trouble here. It's still not responding, so hold on. Of course it would mess up right here, chat. Of course it would mess up right here. Hold on, chat. It's still loading and still not responding. I don't know how it's not responding, but I can still talk to you or something. Let's see. Okay, come on. Okay, I guess I can only talk for right now. So yeah, I haven't seen this correctly. I haven't seen this whole thing, but I do know that I've heard this guy. Maybe I think he's described himself as a bread tuber or something. He's a bread tuber, which is I don't know. They don't seem to know very much. I don't know what's going on. I don't know what bread tubers are, but they always call everyone reactionaries, and they all use all that stuff. Even if you try to make a reasonable argument, so we'll see. And I think this guy is from the school of thought that everything is political. Everything is political. Like everything is political. Nothing is not political. There's nothing that's not political. They don't have no idea. They have no difference in their minds that a work can be politically inspired. Just like George Lucas was inspired by World War II. He wanted, or he was inspired by World War I and World War II. You know, the dog fights in the real dogfight era. Okay, here we go. I think everything should be clearing up soon. No, never mind. It's still going on. It's still not responding, chat. Okay, so yeah, we're he wanted dog fights in space. Let's see. So, yeah, he wanted dog fights in space. So they would say, that's political. It's political. He was inspired by World War II. No, he wasn't. It was inspired by World War II, yes, and World War One maybe, but it wasn't political. They didn't make it political. It's because it was inspired by some social issue or inspired by something else. Doesn't mean it was political. Okay, it doesn't. It just means it was inspired by it. Let's see here. Because if it's political, it wouldn't really enjoy it as much because it would be very blatant in it. I wouldn't even call Star Trek political. There's writing stories based on social issue scenarios. Uh-oh, chat. Uh-oh, chat. I don't know what's going on here. I don't know what is going on. This whole thing is freaking out now. I just wanted to share a screen, and it's just freaking out. I have no idea why. I have no idea why. Let me see what I can do here. Nothing's working, chat. Nothing is working. Everything is just going insane. Everything is just going insane. I can't even click on anything. So I guess we're just stuck here. We're stuck here while everything sets up again. Okay, chat. We might have to do this one, close this one early. Everything's just freaking out. Everything is just freaking out. I have no idea why. It's not responding. Everything is going away. Let me try something, chat. I think I have to close it. Then we have to close it and come back. I don't know. Everything is just going crazy. Let me see here. Let me see. I think this is going crazy, chat. I don't know. I have no idea what's going on. I can't even end the stream if I needed to. So we're kind of stuck. We're kind of stuck. I don't know what's going on. It just went completely insane. I can fix the microphone though. There we go. But I guess I can still talk to you, chat. I guess we can still talk. Oh, let's see. Okay, there we go. So everything should be working now. Let's see here. I should go ahead and share everything. Should video games be political? Here we go. Should they be political? We'll find out. Now we can finally. There we go. Sure, the volume is at a decent level. What is this? Tomahawk steak. Why did it change to this? It's kind of weird. Okay, hold on. Things are still freaking out, apparently. Almost there. We'll get it done. There we go. Okay. Now I think we got it. Should video games be political? Here we go. Hopefully it stays this video.
We go. Critical's bad take on games and politics. Why can't games just be fun?
The lead singer of Escape the Fate from 2009.
Point of view down our throats all the time. Why do we have to have that? Even if it's inspired by their point of view, which usually creative works are, it's in this sense, it's just blatant. It's just saying, going from here, I'm going to create a nice story out of my point of view to here's my point of view, here's why you're wrong, here's why I'm right. That's where it goes.
Though I do look like I'm at this point in my hair growth cycle. It's me, Charlie, the ace reporter on all things video games. I debated making this video for the last couple days, and I just decided, fuck it, I kind of do want to talk about it. I'm not a massive gamer anymore. I don't sit down and pump the dick into games like I used to. Now, don't get me wrong, don't misconstrue my words. I definitely do still get down dirty like a fucking grease goblin sometimes, snorting Dorito dust and injecting G Fuel in the veins.
Like, I like his sense of humor here. Maybe it's because I'm a Zoomer, but I do like this sense of humor a lot. I really enjoy his I do. I'm not joking when I say I really enjoy his content. This isn't a hate video. This is like, I think he's funny. You know, I think he's talented comedically speaking. I think he's a talented creator, entertainer. But this is just a really bad take.
Getting after fat grinds in certain games, but it's not quite to the level that it used to be at for me. That being said, I still keep up with almost everything video game related. I'm still very passionate about the industry and the craft. I mean, I still have video game themed wet dreams and shit like that. Like none of that.
Oh yeah, I'd also like to point out, I could probably IRL debate him, because he lives really close to me. He's talked about how he lives in Tampa. He lives really, really close to me. Me and him could fucking debate IRL. That would be interesting. You know, Vadim also lives in Florida, so I might, me and Vadim might do a collab, an IRL collab sometime. That would be interesting.
That changes. But what I want to talk about today is the internet demands video games always have a deep meaning. Or
why are you guys spamming numbers in chat? What the fuck? Okay, here it goes. Here it goes. Here comes the bad take. I heard a little bit of it.
Okay, so deep meaning. No, here's a difference, chat. Okay, so stories should always have something. It always should be about something. Should always have meaning. So yeah, I can get why people would want to focus or at least champion the idea of video game stories having a deep meaning. That what we mean by that is we need it to have like a deep character meaning, deep narrative meaning. And when an NPC or SJW, when they see meaning, they say, "Oh, well, obviously we have to talk about current year's social issues." That's not the point. The point when we say meaning, when we're talking about narrative or character meaning in a video game, it means something more along the lines of it's non-political. It's looking towards humanity in general. It's kind of like what Star Trek did. Star Trek took a point that was a politicized point. It took a point that was politicized, but that was very essentially at the bottom line, very human, and they put it in an episode and explored the idea. So, it's something like what A Measure of a Man, where they gave rights to Data. Should Data have the right to say no, even though he's artificial? Well, that is it came from the civil rights movement, more or less, and what should be called should a person have the right to say no, or should the person have human rights at all? When that question came up, that's where it came from. That's where it came from, that idea. But it's not a political idea. It's a human idea. How should you treat your fellow man? But it is, however, a politicized scenario. So the difference is when a normal person wants to talks about putting meaning into things. A normal person talks about putting meaning and something greater, some substance in their storytelling. They mean I'm going to put something human in there, something human, something about it's not who it's right wing or left wing. It's should this be what would happen if we explore this idea? So I mean, abortion is always something that they always come out with, and it's heavily politicized. But if they went ahead and put that in the game without making it political, it would concern characterization, morals, and personal preferences, circumstance, what they're doing. It's not whether it's right or wrong. It's how the person is going to react or choose or whatever they're going to go. Now, when an NPC SJW takes charge, they see meaning as let's make it political. So instead of let's keep on the abortion idea. Instead of having the story revolve around a character's motivations, ideas, personality, and choices, the circumstance, how things are going to go, how things might result of their choices, they go from they'll make like any idea of they'll make it politicized. So they'll make it right wing, left wing. They'll make it they'll have the bad guys will say, I guess if it was a leftist, far leftist saying this, far leftist NPC SJW writing this, in their idea, in their mind, a substantive game, something with deep meaning, a game about abortion or something like that. I don't know how you get that, but in their eyes, it would be more or less the right-wing conservatives are all bad guys because they want you to keep the baby and not give you the choice. So there'll be a definitive bad guy. There'll be a definitive right and wrong answer, rather than we can explore what the right and wrong answer is. They choose for you. They tell you they'll tell you the answer for you, rather than you allowing you to choose, which is the normal thing. So Star Trek allowed you to choose in most cases. In the best scenarios, NBC HWs they tell you what is right and what is wrong. Even the Stan Lee days, even in the old days, they allow you to choose whether or not an action is good or not. They allow you to choose, or even if it wasn't allowing you to choose, maybe it was a different direction. It was done to for you so you can see the extreme versions of one view or another. They tend to do that. They tended to do that. They didn't with the if it thought for you, if it did the if it went ahead and did the thinking for you, wasn't nearly as good. But if it allowed the person to fully engage, because that's what engagement is. Okay, political lecture. Have you ever been to a lecture before? Have you ever? How many people are sleeping during a lecture because you're not engaged? It doesn't engage you because the teacher is telling you things. It's telling you what's right and wrong. A discussion becomes really engaging when there is no definitive answer. So when they lecture you politically, it's not that interesting because they're just telling you right and wrong. They're telling you what is according to them definitively right and wrong. But when you have a game that is taking on an issue that is often politicized but not political, and you explore it like Star Trek did, then it becomes gripping. You could become attached to it and become engrossed in it because you're listening to both sides. This is why lectures are boring, but debates are interesting. Because in debate, you're looking for both sides. You're trying to see a perspective from either view and trying to put together your own conclusions. While a lecture is just telling you straightforward, this is right, this is wrong. Big difference. Okay, most writers, good writers, will take an issue and have a debate, while SJW and NPC writers will say, "Oh, we're going to make this meaningful story," and then have a lecture. Big difference there, chat. Big difference. And see here. After 702, they feel that any idea of conservatism or right-wing beliefs should be eliminated, even if it's centered on or around a particular fictional canon. Yeah, they do. They do. They don't like. They really hate the idea of anyone who thinks differently than you do. But I think that's the best way to put the difference here, to illustrate the difference here. A normal writer will take an issue and have a debate. An NPC SJW writer will take an issue and have a lecture, give you a lecture, and this goes for left or right wing. Okay, this is it's not really a political thing. It's just there's censors and SJWs on either side. These are the same people. They just kind of switch sides. Okay, same mindset of the same kind of people. Is right now you see predominantly on the left. This happens to be that way. They could just as easily be on the right. I remember someone brought up the D&D the satanic scare. A bunch of right-wing conservatives were afraid and wanted to cancel and ban D&D because apparently it was teaching people Satanism and all that stuff. Okay, same energy, chat. Same energy. So if they, this is why the people that produce movies like that tell you things, that preach to you their ideas, they don't do as well. But movies that have debates, more or less, they are more engaging. So just keep that in mind when you think about when they say everything is political, everything should be political. When we say that, it's even if it does get political, it should be a debate, not a lecture.
Just now, here comes the bad take.
But what I want to talk about today is the internet demands video games always have a deep meaning or be politically charged and motivated, be socially conscious.
That's different. I would consider that to be very, very different, two different things. Have a deep meaning and to be politically charged. Those are different, completely different things. Having a deep meaning is what we just spoke about. As having, going over ideas and exploring deeper essences of humanity. Like Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. That's not politicized. That's not a political story. Not really, but explores. That's where it's kind of where the story of the Incredible Hulk came from. The separation of one's feelings, where Dr. Jekyll was a civilized man who allowed Mr. Hyde to come out to fulfill his lusts and his ambitions. While on the other hand, you had the Hulk, who was the alter ego of like a kind of like standoffish, nerdish kind of guy, not all that outgoing. And when he turned into the Hulk, he became aggressive. So you wouldn't like me when I'm angry, that sort of thing. Uh, you explore the duality of man, how the shackles that society or even yourself places on yourself, places on you, and how you might need to put on a mask or something to free yourself from those shackles, and how the opposite of that rests inside of you, and that it could be a monster, it could be something good. But in the case of Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde, his wants and desires became monstrous, while he remained the civilized man. It's human. These are the human things that you explore in fiction and narrative and literary fiction. Okay, even Frankenstein's monster was very interesting because it explored mortality, explored the idea of going too far in terms of science. Where do we stop? Where do we draw the lines? But it wasn't political. It was an interesting story that asked interesting questions and allowed you to ponder interesting questions. It didn't say, it did have a theme of you can go too far with science, but it asked different questions. Okay, and asked questions. It didn't say definitively. It just went. You just followed the story of Victor Frankenstein, and then the monster. It was kind of one of the structures of story within stories within stories. But it remained interesting because it asked the question: can we go too far with science? Can can uh can we go too far? Can we create life? The thoughts of mortality, the thoughts of own ego, things like that. Again, it was more of a debate than a right and wrong. Hex Harper, thanks for 499. Appreciate that. Our propaganda gives you meaning. Do not question. We're the ones who are right after all. You want to spend another hour in the pit? Of course not. After all, Mr. Smith, it's not easy to become sane. Exactly.
And socially aware of everything that's going on, and I think that's really detrimental to video games as a whole.
You're correct. So while those might be two different things, being having deep meaning and being politicized and having being socially aware or whatever, those are two different things. We want them to have deeper meaning. We don't really need them to be in a current year. Okay, it makes it very it kind of what do we call it? Makes it dated. Makes it dated very easily. So we take so here's the thing: if you want to write something more quote unquote politicized or something, you take what's being issued today. For example, they always champion transgender rights, right? So you take that and you boil it down to the human elements. You take it down to okay, it's just a question about rights. Who should have rights and what rights should they have? And you take it and you boil it down again. Okay, it's a question of equality. How should humans treat other humans? And you just basically go back to X-Men, right? X-Men can be an allegory for pretty much anyone that's being downtrodden or discriminated against. Because when Stanley created X-Men, yeah, he might have been inspired by the civil rights movement. That could have been true, but at the very base of it, he didn't make it blatant civil rights. He boiled it down to the most human elements and said it went from here's for what it is on surface level nowadays to here's what it's coming from: the constant search for rights, a constant need or fight for equality, and to be treated as normal human beings. And if you look at the X-Men, that's where they come from. And then you can attach any sort of oppressed people to X-Men because at the surface it is human. Stanley went with the human aspect of it, the need for acceptance, the need to be accepted in society, the need to be accepted for yourself and how you were born. As Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. said, the equality should not. He had a dream that people wouldn't be judged on the color of the skin, but with the contents of the character. Okay, the contents of the character, not the color of the skin. So Dr. Martin Luther King also knew what it was. Boil it down to the humanity of it. not the surface level, and that's what Stanley did too. Okay, was he inspired by the civil rights movement? Probably. It's a good chance. But when he created X-Men, it wasn't just one group of people being they weren't representing one group of people in particular. It was downtrodden and oppressed people in general. That's what it was. He was trying to teach us not one specific lesson, but a more generalized human lesson that we should not discriminate against people because of how they were born, simply because of how they were born, and that if someone should be seen as a villain, it should be because of the actions and the contents of the characters. Why you have the X-Men on one hand and Magneto's people on the other.
No. Okay. So first thing, let's take apart what he said, like what piece by piece. He says that the internet demands that video games have some sort of meaning. I know he's going to get to like politically is going to be his point. However, no. The internet doesn't demand that video games have some sort of meaning. When
Yeah, they do, and they do. I've seen that all the time. I've seen that all the time. I see Angel of the Sword. By the way, could someone remind me and the name of the YouTuber LD had on Mooring Nonsense yesterday? It was Loading Crew, the Loading Crew. Just in case you want to check him out, I think he's a D&D channel or something. Yeah, he's a D&D channel. He covers D&D usually. But it was Loading Crew, Loading Crew. But yeah, I mean, the ever since video games are become more popular, I've seen a lot of gamers actually who ask for video games to be taken more seriously. Video games being seen as works of art. And while there are video games that are just there to pass the time, the video games have become more and more, have been venturing more into the realm of art, and well, pretty much in the same level as movies and books and things like that. So they mediums for storytelling, mediums for art, and yeah, they have been asking for that. They have been asking for that. A lot of people have. Maybe I don't know. Maybe trying to play semantics here with not probably not the entire internet, but a lot of people have. There's been a huge rise in people wanting, including gamers, a lot of gamers wanting to make video games into more works of art, wanting them to have more meaningful stories. But where most people want meaningful stories in terms of character, the writers and the mainstream people have again trying to try to place their own personal politics and their own preachy politics in the stead of, well, a good story. They're going to tell you capitalism is definitively bad. Not no debate. It's just bad. Capitalism is bad. Okay, and that's it. And then according to them, they just added meaning to the story. Okay, where what the gamers really want is, if you're going to make a game about capitalism, then just make a game about capitalism where we can see the good and the bad sides of it. Have that debate mentality in there. So what they want is, okay, here's a game about capitalism. I'm going to play it as a capitalist, and I'm going to make choices like this war of mine. Okay, it's like this war of mine. You're in the mindset of a war survivor, someone who is surviving an ongoing war. And this hypothetical game about capitalism, you would go in as a businessman, and you would make decisions as a businessman. Are you going to make decisions on what you feel is right, or are you going to make decisions on how to get more money? That's what the kind of game the gamers are asking for. However, what the SJWs and NPCs think they're asking for is, here's a game on all the reasons why capitalism is bad. You see the difference? You see the difference? Yeah. So when we say meaning, we mean give us something human to connect with. Give us something a human scenario to explore. Give us a thought-provoking scenario to explore, like this war of mine, or Papers, Please. Put us in the shoes or in the mindset where we can explore very human ideas and question morality, explore deeper in the meanings of morality or choice, or the difference between right and wrong. Something that challenges our points of view, not tells us what our points of view should be.
games are art, okay?
Yes, games are art. Yes.
They are. Video games are art. And when something is an art form, it's going to be criticized like a art form, and like it's art. That's how things are done. Art is political. It has some sort of meaning, even if it isn't overtly political. In some way, it is. And so,
No, they're not political. They're not. Okay, they can be inspired by politics. They can be inspired by social issues. But again, as I keep saying, the best stories are not political. They might be inspired by things that are politicized, but they're not themselves political. I don't know, unless they're trying to convince you to vote for a candidate or something. They're not really all that political.
in this case, he's going to start bringing up a bunch of examples of games. I'm calling it. These count as art. You can criticize these in that way without having to stop spamming numbers in chat or you're banned. I will ban every one of you, by the way. So whenever I hear a gamer say this, like, oh, why are they making games political? Why does there need to be some sort of deep message behind this? Why can't I just enjoy games? Why can't the gameplay just be fun? This argument doesn't hold any water because you are the same people that.
Yeah, here's the thing about that. We went over this before, and not what I just got talking about, but what I mentioned with X-Men earlier was that if you can read X-Men. Okay, so Stan Lee was he inspired by social issues? Absolutely, probably. There's a good chance, and you can read into that if you want to. But if you don't, Stan Lee wrote it as first and foremost a great, interesting characters running through an interesting story. He was just inspired by it. He was inspired by social issues. So what you can do as the reader then is you can take a copy of X-Men. Okay, you take in a copy of X-Men. You could read through it. Okay, you can read through it, and you can just have a good time. That's what these gamers want. They want a good, meaningful story without feeling like politics are being dragged into it. So if they have a video game about human rights or something like that, or equality or something like that, then it would be a game about like kind of like the first. What was it? The first. Is that the one with that? I forget what it was called. Deus Ex. Not the first one, but the first modern one with the guy Adam and everything. I think it was called Human Revolution. But you take something like that, it's a lot more fun because okay, here's people who are augmented, and they're saying that okay, are they the equal to the? And then there's a division between people who are not augmented, people who are augmented, and it's fun because it's not real world politics. You can play the game, you can escape from the real world, you can play the game, you can run through it without having to feel that real world politics are being preached to you. And however, if you want to look into things further, you can see the inspirations. You can kind of easily tell what inspired the way how the game was produced. Same for Zootopia. I brought up Zootopia yesterday. You can just watch Zootopia again as an interesting movie. You can enjoy Zootopia. However, if you want to, you can look up. You can kind of get a sense of what inspired Zootopia, and you can look into it. And if you want to, you can enjoy it that way. Or again, it's like X-Men. It's like Stan Lee's X-Men. It's like the first Human Revolution, because the second one was they really politicized that one. But you can read Stan Lee's X-Men. You can play the first Deus Ex Human Revolution game. At least I think that's what it's called. But the first one, not the one that has like that's the second one that came out that was infamous. But the first one with Adam, and then you can have the third one, and then not the third one, but you have Stan Lee's X-Men, the Deus Ex game, and Zootopia, and you can play those games. You can watch that movie. You can read that comic book. You can play that game. You can watch that movie, and you can look through them. And you can just enjoy them for what they are: a comic book, a video game, or a movie. You can go through them. You can follow the characters. You can enjoy the characters. You can enjoy the story of those mediums. However, you are not obligated to look into the politics or or the social issues that inspired them. You can just enjoy the stories. However, you can move into those if you want. A game, a comic book, a movie produced by a social justice warrior or an NPC person, you can't. You have no choice. Okay, it's put first and foremost, and they try to point to old works, say this was political a long time ago. It's political a long time ago. They try to point to those works so they can justify. They can point to works that were not overtly political, that might have been politically inspired, so they can justify making their current works, what they're producing now, overtly political, trying to make you look like a hypocrite, which you're not, because they're two totally different things.
That we're saying games are art and should be treated like it. Why are you getting mad now that people online are criticizing games as an art form? I don't see any reason not to.
It's no longer enough for a video game to just be fun. In fact, I'd argue to the internet, fun is secondary to the meaning and the political message behind the game. And I think
No. Source? Can you give me a source? I know he's gonna cite the video done by fuck, what was it called? By Extra Credits. He's gonna cite the video by Extra Credits, but the problem here is all.
We weren't here yesterday. Yeah, the thing is, video games. I don't think video games are supposed to be fun all the time. And if video games can be fun, but yeah, the Extra Credits video that I remember them putting out before they went insane, they explored should games be fun, and I think no, not necessarily. I mean, some games should be fun, absolutely, but I always bring up this war of mine. It's not. I wouldn't necessarily call that game fun, but it is very intriguing. It is very intriguing. So yeah, again, I wouldn't exactly say that fun is a necessity of a video game. Maybe sometimes fear is. Maybe sometimes moral quandary is. But it's always interesting. But they keep it interesting. They keep it interesting at the very least. So are some games fun? Absolutely. Are some games meant to be more thought provoking? Absolutely. More thought provoking than it is to be fun? Absolutely.
Also, my air conditioning broke, so I'm already sweating. I'm just gonna point that out right now. This is gonna be a sweat stream, okay? I'm already sweating. So this
Artists need to message people can just paint to paint because you like painting. It doesn't need yeah, absolutely. It doesn't need to. You can make this like how you can make a video game just to enjoy. It doesn't need a deeper message. Like stories should have stories should be substantive. They should have it should be about something. Like I always say, a story should be about something. And when you paint, it should be about something, right? To like we can intrigue someone who is looking upon it. But it doesn't necessarily have to have this deep social issue message. So Neil Gaiman actually mentioned that, where yeah, he even mentioned that stories should be about something, which they should be, but it isn't. But he also said it doesn't necessarily have to be about a social issue or get on your soapbox or something. And that's a difference here. You don't need to. It doesn't need to have a big overt message. It doesn't have to have this underlying message that you take with you and you can take it to the bank and you can get on your soapbox and try to convince people. You can just have a piece of work. You can have a video game. You can have a painting. You can have a comic book that's just there to allow the audience to have fun. That's it. Stanley did that all the time. He did that all the time, even with X-Men. No matter what, he basically used social issues, if he used them at all, to produce a good story, not to preach to people. As Stanley said himself, he didn't like people preaching to him, and he didn't like preaching to people. So yeah, I mean, they don't need. People have been asking for some video games to have a deeper message because it makes it you explore humanity, makes it a little more interesting. But it was just a game to be played to be fun. It was just a painting that you can look at. It should be about something. I maintain that, but it doesn't have to have this big, grand message, underlying message. That needs to be studied in a classroom or something. No. So you're absolutely right, Gyrodyne. Absolutely right. That's what Pulp Fiction is, and the Pulp Fiction was this basically just made to enjoy, so that people can forget the daily troubles. But even in those stories where it's just made to enjoy, you have deep underlying elements and traits you can look at and take away from. But like there's no real underlying message of Conan the Barbarian. Not really. He's just about a tough barbarian looking, just going through one adventure after another. There's no real powerful underlying message like they always try to make these days. Like they always try to explore social issues. Was Conan Barbarian in some sense inspired by some social issues? Maybe sometimes on occasion, but it wasn't championing them. It wasn't like putting them forward. It was just being inspired by them. It's like Stan Lee was being inspired by them. So does every work need an underlying powerful message? No, no. It just needs to be about something. But no, it does not need to be all about a big old a big old message that you can tout in front of everyone to make you look like an intellectual or something. Okay, it's not necessary. You can make games just to play a game. You can make a game just to be fun. You can make a game just to be enjoyed and just run through and allow the audience to forget about everything. Bloomy Blonde Hearts. I see so many writers and artists claiming everything is political and nothing can have that can be apolitical. It's sad. Not everything is political. Okay, not everything is political. Some things, it's like Jordan said, just there to be enjoyed. Some like I said last time. I think I said this many times. I always bring this up, but even Sigmund Freud said that sometimes a cigar is just a cigar. I think we even said this yesterday. But yeah, yes, chat. Sometimes a cigar is just a cigar. Okay, sometimes a cigar is just made to be enjoyed. And a cigar doesn't have to have an underlying message underneath it. Let's see here. Nexus 906, went to 5. Appreciate that. Games should be enjoyable. They don't have to be fun. Exactly. There you go. Very well put, Nexus 906. Very well put. Games should always be enjoyable. They don't have to be fun. Quote unquote fun. But they should be enjoyable. Back to 702. Thank you much for the 10. Appreciate that. Conservatives have a solid foundation on morals, philosophy, and art to push society into a traditional and meaningful direction, as opposed to HWs who want to push anarchy, confusion, and debauchery. Yeah, I'd say that's pretty much true. Yeah, HWs on either side, doesn't matter what political side they're championing. HWs are always there for themselves. It seems like they're always there to ruin people's fun. They're always there to moral grandstand. That's why they're friends and allies to really nobody. I appreciate that, Baptist 702. Appreciate that. Spaced Oyster, Spec Ops Line is an example too. It does a good job of using the medium to enhance the story. It's a good game, but not every game needs to do the same. Yeah, Spec Ops Line, I wouldn't say it was fun, but it is very interesting. It's a very entertaining and enjoyable game. But I wouldn't say it was fun. It does have a deeper meaning. It's one of those games that's trying to convey a message, and sometimes a little overtly. But again, you can ignore the message of Spec Ops Line and still play through the game and enjoy the game as it is, without having to acknowledge the overt message. You can still enjoy the overall storyline and the gameplay. It's still there to enjoy without having to indulge in that whole your shooter. You play too many shooters and you're getting desensitized or whatever it is. Let's see here. Andrew Clark, Detroit 2. Please cover Jack Saint's race allegory video. Oh, that sounds dangerous. Maybe. But yeah, Jack Saint is always an interesting fellow. Maybe we'll do that. We'll do that for next time, chat. I'll see if I can remember that. Jack Saint's race allegory video. Okay, let's continue.
This is... Oh boy. Okay. All right. He's gonna cite the video by extra credits. We'll watch that in a bit. But no, I think all gamers, or the majority of gamers, probably care more about games being fun. However, if there is any type of political message in a game, or if a game takes place in a political climate and the message that they're portraying is negative around that political, sort of area, then people are going to get mad about it and people are going to criticize it. That's just how the world is. He's about to say, okay, well, I saw a little bit of the video, but we'll continue.
I think that sucks some fat, filthy butthole. That makes every game uninteresting to me. I think politics is very unenjoyable as a topic. I don't get political. I never get political. I think it's a very boring world. There's no entertainment to be had. It does nothing but isolate people, lead to arguments. It's not fun. Politics is never something fun. And video games...
Yeah, I'll give you a little demonstration here. So, Ethan Van Sciver, he used to be almost just as... he's a Republican, but he almost used to be just as bad on social media as a lot of these other celebrities. Just, on the right wing. Which is still not all that great. But here's the thing. he when things went down, when he was blacklisted from DC, and he took a look at himself, and he saw other people doing, getting really political on their social media and all that good stuff. Then he took a look at himself and said, "Wow, this is." I think it was something to do with a band he liked. He was going to go see a band. I forgot which one it was, but the band he was going to go see got really political and started overtly kind of like hating Trump supporters, hating Republicans, something like that. And that was when he got kind of enlightened, and he said, "Wow, I want to go see this band. I'm really a big fan of this band, but I can't help the fact that if I were to meet these people, that they would hate me." And then he took he did what no SJW does. I mean, if they did this, they would stop being an SJW. But he did what no SJW does, and he reflected on himself. Okay, and Ethan Van Sciver says he went to his Facebook and his Twitter and said, "Wow, I'm doing the same exact thing. I'm really being hostile towards like Democrats and left wing people overtly on my social media." And he remembered how he felt that this band that he liked was doing the same thing he was, and he, as a fan, felt alienated and ostracized. And he can't help but think that, wow, if I met these people, I can't help but think that they would hate me. And I can empathize because I feel the same way. I see all these celebrities who at one time I really enjoyed, but looking at the Twitter feeds and the social media feeds, I can't help but think that if I were to meet them one day, that they would just instantly hate me. It's not a good feeling, chat. It's not a good feeling. So what he did was he reflected in on himself and he said, "I'm going to stop doing that. I'm going to stop being so overtly political." Because he took what he felt, and as a fan, he felt alienated. And he said, "Well, if I felt alienated, then what am I doing to my own fans? What am I doing to the people who read my books and everything? What if they read my book and they look at my book and say, 'Oh, I really like this book. And I really like this book by Ethan Van Sciver. I'm gonna go check him out.' And they go to his social media and they see all of his politics, how he's talking politics, and they say, 'I don't agree with his politics. I like his book, but I don't agree with his politics. And it doesn't matter to me, but the way he's speaking, I feel like he would hate me.'" And that kind of broke his heart. I kind of broke Ethan Sciver's heart, and he said, "Okay, and he stopped doing that. He stopped being so overtly political." And I did the same thing. When I passed social media feed, I was probably no different. And yeah, I came to the same conclusion. I came to the same enlightenment eventually, and I changed terms and everything. I made sure my terms are more specific, and I try not to talk about his politics nearly as much as I used to, because it's alienating. I don't want people to think that I hate them. I don't. I don't want people to think that I hate them because they have different opinions than me. That's a nightmare scenario for me. I don't want anyone to think that I hate them, because I don't hate anybody except maybe the mindset of the SJW, not the SJW themselves. Okay, you hate the sin, not the sinner, sort of thing. But the mindset of the SJW. It's the only thing I really hate. That and Last Jedi and Kate Chopin's The Awakening. But there's a very short list. Very short list. But yeah, when you go into politics, when you put politics in a game, when you make it so overt, you alienate people because because you go into a politicized game. It's a game that's polarizing politically, like the NBCs and SJWs want to have, and you play them. And if you don't agree with the politics, they make you feel like a bad person. They make you feel like you're an enemy, like you're a demon or a horrible person because you don't think like the game does. And it comes from the same mindset, chat. The same exact mindset. This is why you don't. This is why it's fine to be politically inspired, to take some issue that's politicized and use that to create a compelling narrative, but you don't put a political lecture in there, because all you do is alienate people. You alienate people that don't agree with you. You make people who oppose you, who oppose your politics, and then you kind of alienate the people who might not agree with you but don't care about your politics. But you made them feel like that you hate them personally, so they don't want to participate anymore, and your audience is just the people who agree with you. So you've alienated what, at least 2/3 of your audience, maybe. It's alienating. It's divisive. It's divisive. All that good stuff. Uh, you know, it's so that's why we don't want politics overtly in our games or stories or anything in our popular media for that matter. We do want our interesting explorations into the aspects that are usually politicized. That's where we get something intriguing. I say GBOF, Sid, thank you very much for 5. Appreciate that. I agree with Critical that politics sucks. Yeah, don't put politics into things, especially not your entertainment. Give to Caesar what is Caesar's, and give to the fans what is the fans. You know what I mean? And by Caesar, I don't mean Ethan Van Sciver. I mean, the whole phrase from the Bible. Exactly. Killer Dude 404. Politics should be politics. Give politics to the politics. Give entertainment to the entertainment. Give to Caesar's what is Caesar's. That sort of mentality. Angel of the Sword, while well-meaning, it's not generally healthy to focus too much on those disagreements. It's more important to oppose brainwashing. Exactly. It is. Absolutely. Let's see. Let's continue here.
Games at their core were always meant to be a fun escape from reality, a fun.
Okay. Listen. I get it. I had this same take when I was a straight white male right-wing gamer bro, okay? I had the same
Isn't that kind of strange? I don't know what it is about these people, but I see a lot of this happen all the time. They go some of these YouTubers, I don't know what happened, but they go from one extreme to the next. I've seen so many stories about, yeah, I used to be a far right extremist. Now I'm a far left extremist. What's going on here? Stop being an extremist. What's going on? Why are you switching your mentality so regularly? It's really interesting. But I see this. It's not just him. I've heard this story so many times. How they used to be really far on the right. Now they're really far on the left. I don't know what the psychology of that is, but it's really interesting. I see this happens so many times these days. It's really peculiar.
take. Not when I was like alt-right. Well, I did have that take when I was like alt-right, but
Is he admitting he was alt-right? That's a weird thing to admit. It's like admitting you're a Nazi. What is this?
before I was even alt-right, I had this take. I was like, I just want to enjoy video games. I don't want to have to think about shitty stuff going on in the real world.
Yeah, that's not an alt-right take, okay? That's because you want to enjoy your video games and not have to be reminded about the real world or anything like that. It's not an alt-right mentality. It's a normal person's mentality. Okay? Usually people go seek video games not to encounter a political lecture. They usually go buy video games or a piece of entertainment to be entertained. So we don't want to have politics first and foremost in these things. We want entertainment or some enjoyable element to be first and foremost. But no, wanting to enjoy your games, wanting to enjoy your movies, but having politics shoved down your throat at every corner is not an alt-right mentality. It's a normal person's mentality. A normal, healthy person, that's how they think. I want to go to entertainment to be entertained. That's not a peculiar way of thinking. I would argue the opposite is. Wanting to go to entertainment to be lectured politically instead of going to like a lecture, a political lecture, that's peculiar. That's not a normal way of thinking.
Here's the problem. This is something that's coming from, or this is a take that's coming from someone who, and don't cancel me for this, don't get super triggered because I'm saying this, someone who is somewhat privileged in society, okay?
You don't say. Yeah, I'm a person who is who went from far right to for what more leftist, I guess. It was privilege in society. You don't. All these SJWs and NPCs are. I'm not even sure what his mentality is right now, but all these people making these points where everything should be political, for some reason, come from a sect of people who are really privileged in society. I don't know why that is. I don't know why, but it seems to be a predominant pattern of sorts. Terra Enigma, if you don't want politics in your game, then you are an alt-right straight white male, everyone. I can't stand people who generalize it with extreme prejudice. Yeah, you're apparently if you wanted to enjoy your entertainment, you be entertained by entertainment. You have the audacity of wanting entertainment from your entertainment, not a political lecture. Then you're an alt-right straight white male. What is this? Why can't we just enjoy things? We could enjoy them in the past without having politics shoved down our throats, as you are, as people, as SJWs and NBCs are often apt to point out. We enjoyed things in the past. What they never want to point out is that they were never actually political. They were excellent stories, excellent narratives with excellent characters that may or may not have run through a narrative that was politically inspired or based on a scenario, a very human scenario that is often politicized, but isn't necessarily political. Hex Harper, thank you much for the 499. I read The Awakening in high school. Never had I felt so much apathy for anything going on in a book. It was so awful. Brain has blurred it out now. Yeah, same here. Same here. It was so self-indulgent. It was so whiny. It was a horrible book. I think that's the one book that I legitimately dislike. It's on my it's the population of one on my dislike list of books. And that's it. That's the only one so far. I guess you can count Deadbeats too if you want to list that as a book. It's awful. A Semantic Dragon, I need my daily dose of politics. Should I turn on C-SPAN or Final Fantasy 16? Trans rights now? Yeah, there should never be a question I should want to make unironically, but that's kind of where we're heading. I want a political lecture today. Should I turn on the news or should I play my latest video game? Yeah, you go to the news for politics. You go to political lectures for politics. There's plenty of people out there. You can go from anywhere from there are plenty of talk shows or plenty of radio shows, plenty of people from plenty of political commentators out there. They're dime a dozen, chat. They're a dime a dozen. If you want a political lecture, you can go over there. Okay. If you're open-minded, you can watch debates, you can do all that stuff. When you go buy a video game, I don't want a political lecture. Okay, I want to play a video game. Now you can explore things that are interesting. You explore human scenarios like Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde did, or the power of war, or the elements of war, or shooting, first-person shooters, the effect first-person shooters has on the modern gamer, like Spec Ops Online. How people can degenerate from upsetting people into monsters with the absence of civility, with the absence of civilization, like kind of like in the book, in that experiment. I forgot what it was, the Stanford experiment, one of those. I have the book. It's called The Lucifer Effect, but it basically details how normal, upstanding people can degenerate into monsters when they're not given any supervision or something like that. Where they're given free reign to do whatever they want, and it's a peculiar effect. They go from normal people to monsters. You want to explore that? Go ahead. It's humanity we're interested in, not the politics of humanity, but humanity itself. We're interested in the drama. We're interested in what comes from these aspects, not how people choose to politicize these aspects. Say, Angel that sword. I was shit for having this view, therefore I am qualified to call you shit for having said view. This argument has become far too common. See, I'm not the only one, chat. Yes, it has. It has. They say I used to have this view, and you can change your mind. Okay, you can change your mind, but you have I see people change their mind all the time, and we ask, why did you change your mind? Oh, because of these reasons. I have these reasons, X, Y, and Z. They list the reasons why. But what I don't usually see from normal people is, I changed my mind because I'm a good person, you're a bad person. That's not what I usually get from normal people. But you get that a lot these days now. Stanford. See, the Stanford experiments. That's what Stanford experiment is correct. I got one thing right today, chat. I was more exposure to how willing people are to listen to someone with an air of authority. Yeah. It was a detail. It's called the Lucifer effect. It details how people are willing to obey. It also details how these normal, because what the Zimbardi did was he made some students prisoners. He made some students officers, guards, and over the time the the guards became more and more abusive and degenerate, and it was really interesting to see. That's why I kept it going, because these guards were just normal everyday people, like your normal everyday classroom people that you would meet in college. And they tested one thing, they tested another thing, and pretty soon they found out that no one's going to come in and stop them, and so they got drunk with power. It was kind of an exploration into absolute power corrupts absolutely, and that's kind of what it detailed.
Critical is a presumably straight, white, passing male. All right, and he's clearly pretty well off. He's got a really nice.
What does that mean? White passing? Was that maybe he was alt right? Because I think that's like an alt right mentality. Like, you might look white, but are you really? 'Cause that sounds alt right to me. That part does sound. Maybe he was alt right at one point. Who knows? But that talking about white passing, the idea of you can be white passing, that is something Richard Spencer would kind of talk about. uh, I don't know. Maybe he was legitimately alt right. He's not just insulting people.
Nice YouTube channel and whatnot. He is not really oppressed in any way. He has nothing that's really weighing him down because of who he is. His identity isn't.
How do you know? Does he talk about what is his name? Critical? Critical or whatever? Does he talk about his life a lot? He's talking about his life a lot? I don't know. How does he know that he's not, that what his problems are and aren't?
Fucking him over. He's got a lot of privilege. The thing is, though, groups of people who also enjoy that art, who are oppressed because of their identity of who they are, they...
Space Orchard, passing male is how they say, I'm assuming you're a man, but I don't assume you're people's gender. I know that one. I get that one. That one's understandable. But he said white passing. Now, that one I have not heard of before, and outside of legitimate alt-right talking points. Because they're the people who want the ethno state, all that stuff, and they only want a certain group of people with certain backgrounds, what is it called, racial or biological backgrounds in there. And so they will discriminate against people based on not the color of the skin, but what their genetic makeup is. So when he says white passing, that I think that might be an actual alt-right talking point. Yeah. Let's see here. RM Master DX, Xander with the armchair psychoanalysis. Yeah. How do you know what this guy's particular problems are? He just wants. What is he painting? He's just painting with a broad brush. I don't know, but I don't. Unless he talks about his life a lot, I don't think he has any room to talk. And I like how earlier, just a few minutes ago, he was talking about source. Could you give me a source on that? Well, where's your sources? How do you know he's privileged? How do you know he doesn't have any problems or he's not being discriminated against? Where's your source? I'm waiting for it.
Have to deal with these things, and you might think, oh, they would want to escape these things too, but they want to see their problems, the things they have to deal with, expressed in media. They don't want...
How do you know? If do they want their problems expressed in media? Why should they be expressed in media? Like, they overtly. When we go to media, we choose this stuff. So there's media out there that portrays this stuff, overtly. There are things out there. There are movies out there that, I don't know, they talk about slavery. They talk about the civil rights movement, and they're very well acclaimed movies. But it's a little different if you shove this stuff in there where we didn't ask for it. Okay, there's this whole genres of, there's historicals, there's documentaries. There are movies inspired by real life events. You might watch a movie about the life of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. You might watch a movie about Muhammad Ali. You might choose to watch a movie about the World War II. You might choose to watch a movie about where tragedies took place. There are all sorts of movies. You can choose if you want to watch a movie, you want to watch a piece of media, or enjoy a piece of media that goes over these issues. You can. They're out there. But what we don't want, what he's talking about here, I think, is that we don't want these things shoved into things we don't want them. Like, if I want to buy a Final Fantasy game, I don't want my Final Fantasy game to be talking about white privilege or something. I don't want to be talking about. I don't want to add in something so they could talk about civil rights. Okay, if I wanted to watch a civil rights movie, then I would go do that. If I want to watch a civil rights game, I'd go do that. Okay, I remember Bioshock Infinite kind of touched on that. They touched on racism, but it was overtly there in the trailer. Okay, it was overtly there in the trailer. So even before I bought the game, I knew what I was getting into. Okay, I knew what I was getting into. That's how it works. You tell me up front what I'm getting into, and we get to choose whether or not we want it or not. DJ and Voices, thank you much for the 10. You ever notice SJWs always debate the intention behind a point rather than the point itself? Exactly. Yeah, you're right. Exactly. If you only, I think this way because X background. Even if that's true, why is it my point wrong? Yeah, it's you're wrong if you're privileged or something. Is it the point does not matter? The point you're making does not matter. The point that really matters is what is your background? Are you from a privileged background? What's going on? That's what they care about. That's pretty much what they care about. But yeah, I mean I don't think that's such a difficult thing to grasp. We don't want everything to be political. You can have your social issues and other media, but the problem is, and what Critical has seemed to have been noting here, is that they're trying to put them in everything, and they always have that the mantra, everything is political. With that mantra, they try to shove their politics into everything. So that's the problem. The problem isn't they're being present, like these things being present in certain pieces of media. The problem is they're trying to stick it in everything, that's popular. Or we don't want it. Okay, I want to watch my Star Wars, and I want to watch good guys fight bad guys. Okay, I don't want a lecture on how capitalism is bad. Okay, that's not what I go to Star Wars for. Now, if you want to have a movie about how capitalism is bad, then make a movie on how capitalism is bad, and I can choose whether I want to watch it or not. Okay, don't sneak these messages into these mediums that I want to enjoy, especially if they're popular. Don't sneak them in there. Okay, if I want to enjoy these issues, which I often do, like to indulge in these documentaries and things. If I want to, then I'll choose to. Do not force me by tricking me into buying a game by saying, "Oh, look, it's a new Star Wars game," and then actually, quote unquote, subverting my expectations with your need to put social issues into everything. Okay, I think that's fair. There are plenty of movies and plenty of media out there about the things you want to talk about, but not everything has to be about that all the time. And we see that happening. I don't know if he's saying that. I don't know if he's pushing that forward, but we see that happening. If you look around and we see all these popular franchises, we actively see that happening. They're forcing these things into our media where we don't really want them. They're tricking us. They're shoving it in there. They're tricking us into, or they're not really tricking us. They're kind of forcing it in there. We didn't choose it. There's like a extra critic says we didn't choose it, but it's there. Right. I mean, by all means, make a game about the civil rights movement. That might be interesting. They even made it. They made one about Mafia. I think Mafia was about Mafia 3, the third one, where with what's his name, Lincoln Clay. See, I was thought about buying that game because it looked interesting because of the subject matter. But again, if I choose to buy that, it's because I'm interested in playing a game with that subject matter in it. Okay. I don't want to be tricked into buying it. I want to make the conscious decision to buy it. But their idea is we're going to just put that into everything. We're just going to put that into every single thing. Okay? There's a difference there. I don't mind you having your media. Just don't put it into everything. And don't put into things that I want to enjoy outside of me exploring social issues and things. Not everything has to be the same. Not everything has to explore the same social issues all the time. About the 702, I am glad that EVS, Micah Curtis, and others like them will grow because of critics like this. When Marvel/DC vanish into obscurity, creators will dominate the industry. I can only hope. I can only hope. Power to the indies and power to the people. Uh-oh. I guess we need some more internet gas chat. Tyler Preston, I heard Mafia 3 wasn't very good. I heard the same thing. But I heard it wasn't really because of the racism or whatever, or the subject matter. I heard it was because maybe the game mechanics weren't very good. I saw gameplay, which is why I didn't really want to go buy it. It's not because of the subject matter. It was because it didn't really look all that interesting. Kind of think of it. Like when I saw it played, they didn't look all that intriguing. All right, let me go ahead and pause it there. Okay, let's put it back up here on the screen. But yeah, but I did want to buy it at one time because it was during a time period that was interesting, explored some interesting social issues without tricking me into exploring them, without forcing me to explore them. Okay, give me the choice, don't force me to. Okay, a man chooses, a slave obeys. Okay, don't force this weirdness on me.
Straight white male gamer bros say, God, why can't you guys just stop bitching about all your problems and just let me enjoy my fucking games? God, why can't I just enjoy my...
Why does it have to be straight white male gamer bros? What? It's always straight white male gamer bros. We could say gamer bros. Okay, I know we're talking about with gamer bros, but straight white male gamer bros. It's like you're lumping in all these bad things in it. Okay, it's just like these straight white male gamer bros. Like they're supposed to be like the worst people on earth or something. I say HW NPCs because that's not denoting a specific person. That's denoting a specific mindset. Okay, the NPC HW mindset. But you're just going straight white male gamers, which is prejudice against straight white male gamers. Okay, you're being racist against a certain sect of people. You're being racist against white men, and you're being sexist against men. You're being racist against white people. You're being sexist against men, and you're supposed to be that's not a very racism and sexism isn't really a good baseline for argumentation. Okay. Now, Gamer Bros by itself, okay, maybe I can kind of see where you're getting at, because then I can take that tag, that Gamer Bro tag, and I can say, okay, well, I can say, yeah, I can see some Gamer Bros out there. Not all gamers, obviously, but I can see some Gamer Bros out there being kind of standoffish and kind of aggressive when it comes to the video games. Sure, I can see that. But when you put in straight white male, I can see, okay, you're trying to push an agenda. You're trying to, you're being discriminatory. You're being prejudiced against. You're being racist and overtly sexist. And then you get to the gamer bros.
my fucking video games. You gotta make it all political and shit. Second, my second point around that is everything's political. When Critical says
it's not political, so we'll see where he goes with this.
He doesn't like talking about politics. He thinks politics are boring. He thinks they're unfun, and so he doesn't talk.
Okay, so yeah, little malfunction there. Little malfunction with the microphone. There we go. Little malfunction with the microphone. I don't know what happened, but I just had to reload a few things. I don't know. There we go. There we go. There we go. But I fixed it. So many problems these days. But here we go. Interesting point by Baptist 702. If you have time, please review good comics that Marvel and DC came out with, like DC Rebirth, especially Superman Action Comics. Point out the supremacy of classical heroism. Now, this is interesting. This is an interesting. This is an interesting thought because I've actually had this thought myself. Uh, I actually thought about this myself recently, and so I'll give you the choice right here, chat. Now that we have about 150 people in chat, 152. Okay. Would you be interested in me covering a comic that's actually good, as opposed to a comic that's bad? Because I'm open to that. I think that'd be helpful to anyone looking upon it, or interested in looking at actually a good narrative. And anyone might even pick one that they would call political. So what do you think, chat? Should I cover a good comic on one of these morning nonsense streams? What do you think? Yes or no? I'll give you a few seconds here. Let's see here. Alex Halo says yes. Awesome. Glib, welcome to the chat, Glib. Yeah, I'll watch anything you do. Fantastic. Good to know. Killer Dude 04, I want some good in my life. I think it might be good and healthy, actually. I think it might be good and healthy, actually, to, just take it, dip out of the nonsense and go look into something positive and interesting. I think we might like that. I think it might be healthy. Let's see here. Tyler Preston, good Marvel comic, Mortal Hulk. Let's see. So, Neff Champion, yes. Dr. Crow, I would love that. I'm getting a lot of yeses, chat. Getting a lot of yeses. Fantastic. I think it'd be a good idea. Space Orchard won't be as funny, but I enjoy it. I think it won't be as funny. Yeah, you have a point. It won't be as funny, but I think it'll also be helpful. Be more substantive because we'll see what's good and what's not good, and we'll see some good stuff. Instead of going over the weirdness all the time. I think it'd be good a good balancing out of, yeah, here's what's bad, but here's something that's good, a good comic produced by DC or Marvel. So, okay, so I'm getting a lot of yeses. Okay, so maybe for next time. Let's see here. Okay, so it's been decided. The people have spoken, and we'll be reviewing we'll be going over, maybe not reviewing, we'll be going over a comic book that at least I consider to be good, structurally, narratively, and overall well done. Anyways, continue for now.
Talk about them or engage in them. For starters, that's not true. There's quite a few videos on his channel. Like there's one of him making fun of a bunch of people at a Hillary Clinton rally back in 2016. However, everything is political, even being apolitical. Because in that sense, when you're being apolitical,
oh, I want to hear this.
You're helping to preserve the status quo. You're helping to...
No, when you're being apolitical, if you're just being politically inspired, you're still being apolitical. Okay, even if you're exploring a social issue and you're giving a debate rather than a lecture, which is what you should be doing, which is what Star Trek did. It gave a debate, allowed the audience to think for themselves rather than you to telling the audience what to think and what to do, what to say. Okay, that's apolitical. Believe it or not, it's apolitical. Okay, exploring a social issue in a non-biased way is a non-political way of looking at it. So that's pretty much apolitical. It's just human. It happens to be an issue that might be politicized, but it's just human. So when you're apolitical, you're not helping to preserve the status quo. You're exploring and maybe even changing ideas. So let me give you an example. The Measure of a Man. It wasn't political. It wasn't politicized. It was an issue that was politicized. Human rights. However, it just explores the idea of rights and who might deserve them and who should get them. Should an android get them even though they're artificially created? That's a really good question. And going to that might change your mind. So you might go into that saying, no, I might go with Maddox. I like Data, but if Maddox can take him apart, he's just a robot. He's not an actually living thing. By the end of the episode, you might agree with Picard, say, okay, maybe I was wrong. Maybe Data, given the arguments they've given throughout Measure of a Man, maybe Data as an android should be able to choose whether or not because he seemingly has sentience. So maybe he should be able to choose whether or not someone should be able to dissect him or not. He might change that wasn't political, it wasn't right wing, wasn't left wing, wasn't pushing any sort of agenda, didn't take a conservative side or a liberal side. It did nothing. It just explored an interesting scenario. It was apolitical. It was an apolitical view at a politicized concept, or an often politicized social issue. Okay? So, that was apolitical, and the way it was done could change your mind by the end of the episode because it delivered a debate instead of a lecture. And so it changed your mind. So you take that that changed mind, and if you go into if you encounter a place where you might find yourself in a similar situation, maybe someone there is uh, not given this things the way I view the world, and you might interfere. You might treat that if you don't fight anybody, you don't fight anybody or anything like that. You might, on your own accord, approach the person not being treated as an equal. I mean, this could not even be relegated to race or sexuality. This could very easily be, I would say, even relegated to people who work in the retail industry or to janitors or the custodial industry, people who are often looked down upon by mainstream society, people who aren't given the same respect as even your average person because they're seen as on the lower rung, people who people get power trips off of demeaning, right? Oh no, we're still here, chat. I think we're just running low on internet gas. I think. Oh yeah, I'm still here, chat. Can you still hear me, chat? If you can, let's continue. I'll see if I can continue here. But the thing is, well, we'll go ahead and finish up real quick. Is that even though the Measure of Man is apolitical, it's not political. It doesn't take any political side. It just covers a topic that's politicized. Okay, it can still change someone's mind potentially, and in the future, might encounter someone who is being discriminated against or being treated as lower than everyone else. Like even like I said, doesn't have to concern race or sexuality or gender. Could concern someone who's seen generally on the lower rung, like someone who's in custodial services, someone who is in the maybe a waiter or a retail service person. These are the people that general people often feel like they can step on. So maybe this person who watched Measure of a Man was one of those people that they thought who could step on these custodians, or could step on these retailers, or could step on these waiters, and then they watch Measure of a Man and say, "Oh, look, this Data was given rights. He was treated as a normal person because of his sentience. What have I been doing?" So maybe now I'm not saying this happens every time, but this is a hypothetical that it could happen because we watch Measure of a Man. It's a very powerful episode. And maybe that's changed someone's mind, because it very well could change a mind, because it's a debate and not a lecture, which that's what the debates are for, to change minds. And then you go and you say, you treat these people that you've been treating unfairly this whole time, you treat them fairly, treat them as equals because you watch Measure of Man. Now, is that keeping in line with the status quo? No. It's changing minds. And when you change minds, you can change the status quo. Politics is not necessarily, just because you're being apolitical does not mean you're maintaining the status quo. Being apolitical means that you're not taking a side. You're not making it a conservative issue. You're not making it a liberal issue. You're just keeping it a human issue, a narratively relevant issue. So that's why you can watch Measure of Man, and you don't. And if you're conservative, you don't feel attacked. And if you're liberal, you definitely don't feel attacked. Okay, because it is not taking a side. It's not demonizing one side or the other. It's simply just exploring a very human idea that's often politicized. But it in itself, and the self-contained episode in itself, is not itself political.
Keep things the way they are in a way that benefits you. As long as I've read the fucking Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Like segment from his letter from Birmingham jail a ton of times, but someone like Critical, most of like your edgelord gamer bros, they want a negative piece rather than a positive piece. A negative piece being the absence of tension, while a positive piece is the presence of justice. So he just kind of wants things to stay the way they are. They're going pretty well for him. On paper, everybody has the same rights as far as he's aware. He doesn't see any reason for things to get political. And third, he only sees things as political when they're politics he disagrees with or that he doesn't align with.
Okay, you asked him for a source earlier. Please play part of the video where he says that, where that exemplifies that statement. How come you're the only one that can ask for sources, where we can't ask for sources from you? Back up your point. Okay, you're watching a video of Critical. We're watching a video of him. You're covering this guy, and you just made an assertion. Okay, that he only disagrees with he only disagrees. He only calls it political when it's putting forth politics he disagrees with. So show the hypocrisy. Show where in this video he points out. I mean, it doesn't have to be like a multi-video thing. He just show him pointing out a video game that he likes that is overtly political, but he likes it because it's fine with him because it adheres to his own politics, and then show him pointing out a game that he doesn't like for the political reasons because it's politics that he doesn't like. Okay, that's all you need to show. You say he lists games here, so does he do that? If he does, cut to that point. Okay, because so far you're just making assertions, and you're not backing it up. Okay, you're not backing it up at all. You're just saying, though, it's only politics he disagrees with. That's why he calls it political. How do you know? You assumed he was privileged. How do you know? Unless you watch him all the time, he talks about his life, then you don't know, do you? Now you're just saying that he only calls games with politics in it political when it's politics he doesn't agree with. So show me the proof, evidence of that, Mister. Show me your source, Mister. Source. Show me a source, okay, Mister. Show me your source. Show me a source.
At least, so if you have a gay main character and the game makes even the slightest deal about the character being gay,
being gay is not political. And showing a character being gay is not political. Okay, having a sexuality is not political. It's only when you politicize it does it become political.
Ellie making out with her girlfriend in the Last of Us 2 trailer, that's political. If Ellie was making out with a dude, sure, it would be cringe because no one wants to watch that super close up two people.
Ellie making out with a girl is not political. Okay, it's just showing her character, which probably organically developed, but it's the things around it that makes it political. So it's Ellie making out with a girl is not in and of itself political. It's the advertising around it. Look, we're having a new representation. That's when you make it political. Okay, the act itself, the gender, the character sexuality itself, not political. You make it politicized when you politicize it. I'm pretty sure that makes sense to most people. You politicize something when you politicize it. Okay, it's like Measure of Man. The question on human rights is not political either until you politicize it, until you add in conservative values, a conservative point of view, or a liberal point of view. That's when it becomes politicized. Until you politicize something, it's not political. Okay, Ellie making out with a girl is not political until you politicize it. Okay, then it becomes political. When you say, "Oh, look, there's more representation here," is a good move forward for the progress of politics and games, things like that. If you just kept it organic, I'm pretty sure I always hear about this one thing called Persona, the game called Persona, okay, where they actually added in a gay character, and they didn't make it political. He just happened to be a homosexual character exploring his sexuality in high school. They didn't politicize it, but it was an interesting character trait. It was an interesting element of narrative, as far as I've heard. I haven't played any of the Persona games, but I've ran through that narrative. I heard about it. That's not political, okay? Having a sexuality again is not political. Ellie kissing a girl is not political until they politicize it in the advertising or something, or even in the game when they take you out of the game and say, we're being discriminated against, all that stuff. They make it political. Until they make it political, it's not political.
Making out. I'm not a huge fan of watching PDAs, public displays of affection. If she was making out with a dude, this wouldn't have been an issue in the first place. But because she's gay, that's seen as political. Then you have all the gamer.
I mean, it's because they tout it so open. Like they just put it forth. So like we said, if she was making out with a guy, it probably wouldn't have hardly been in the trailer. It probably would have been one scene. But because they're making it political, they want to put it forefront. They want to make it where everyone can see it. Where it's like, here, look, what's the game about? I don't know, but Ellie's gay now. Okay, that's instead of having it as an aspect of a game, instead of having it as just an aspect of the story, they push it forth as a piece of political agenda. Alex Haley, thank you for the 2. Appreciate that. There is Yuri in Neptunia and no politics. See, they don't see again. That's a good point. Okay, it's because sexuality is not a political issue. They made it a political issue. Okay, no one probably would have cared if they kept loyal to the lore of Last of Us 2, if they kept loyal to the characters of Ellie and Joel, and they followed the what we wanted to see is the continuation of the storyline of Ellie and Joel, and then had added in Ellie being homosexual or bi or something, no one would have cared because it just so happened to be. Maybe some people would have cared, but it wouldn't be this big issue it is now because it wouldn't have been politicized. It would have been part of the narrative. DJ Invoices, no. Showing her making out with anyone in the trailer would be a problem because it has nothing to do with what the game is about. I mean, yeah, they could have had her making out with someone in the trailer just like as a clip, like as a 2-second clip, so we can see, oh look, Ellie gets a love interest in this game. But that's all we needed. That's all we needed. So this a hint to say like, oh look, Ellie gets a love interest in this game. That's interesting because it pertains to the narrative. But we don't need like this big elongated focus in the trailer on, oh look, she has a relationship and all this stuff now. Save it for the game, okay? The trailers are supposed to wet our beaks a little bit so we get interested. Okay, just have a little clip to show us that she gets in a relationship, so we say, oh look, she gets a love interest. Let's see here. Glib, we need more glib representation in media. I want to make out in a video game because that is politics. Yeah, apparently everything is politics, chat. Everything is politics. Matthew J. Nimno, back to Outlaw Star, Fred, a gay character, not political, even a comedic character, and some pathetic, still not political. Yeah, exactly. For Fred Lowe from Outlaw Star, I really liked Outlaw Star, by the way. It was one of my favorites. I really enjoyed that show. But Fred Lowe was a gay character. He was in love with Gene Starwind. He always wanted to be with him. Didn't bother me at all. It was not political. He was just a character. That was just part of his character. Okay, there was nothing no big deal about that. Okay, the big deal comes in when they politicize these things. So no one really see. The thing about Final Fantasy VII is, yeah, Cloud dresses up as a woman in that game. At least you can fail it. I failed it the first time I went through that section. But Cloud goes to that game, and he dresses up as a woman for a certain part of that game. Now that was fine because it was not political. Then they politicize it and say, "Oh look, Cloud is progressing this and that now. He's progressing He's progressing trans rights or something like that now." Suddenly you injected politics into our games, and that is where the outcry came from. Okay, you could have had just let Cloud dress up as a woman, been fine. No one would have batted an eye. They probably would have thought it was interesting or intriguing or funny or whatever it is, and it would have been fine. But they politicized it, and then it caused an outcry. But by itself, Cloud dressing as a woman, not political. Sorry to say, Mr. What's your name? Zanderhall, Mr. Zanderhall. Not everything is political. It's only political when you politicize it.
Bros making videos saying, I don't hate gay people or anything, but I think there's an agenda being injected into the game and it's ruining the game. They're going to sacrifice gameplay and the fun of the game with forced diversity rather than focus on the game being fun and having a good story.
See, that's why forced diversity always causes an outcry, because it's not diversity that people are mad at. Again, you can add in different diverse characters in there. No one's going to bat an eye. But when they tout like, oh, it's going to be more diverse, Okay, it's going to be more diverse. It means that they're going to make it political. That means they're going to add in like different issues. They're going to write these characters differently than they would normally if they were not going the quote unquote diversity route. Because when we hear diversity now, when we hear it's going to be more diverse, we hear okay, they're injecting politics into things. They're politicizing it. It's not diversity; it's the politicization of diversity that makes people angry.
With characters I can relate to. That's the only reason they see it as political. If they made Ellie straight, that would have been a political statement, especially.
No, it wouldn't have. Okay, if they made Ellie straight and then they say that they start. Okay, start over. If they made Ellie straight and then they politicized her straightness, it would be just as cringe. People would be just as put off. And say, "Oh, look, she's straight, and this goes well for so and so agenda." Let's go like if they made her straight, and then like I don't know, someone like Ben Shapiro picked up on it and said this is excellent. This keeps in line with our religious values or something. It would be just as cringy. I'm sorry, Ben Shapiro, but it would be. Okay. I don't want anyone's politics being injected into these games. I mean, that would be his opinion in that scenario. But let's imagine if, like someone like Ben Shapiro. Now, all due respect to Ben Shapiro, but let's say like someone like Ben Shapiro got involved in the making of Last of Us 2, and he made it came out that he made Ellie straight, and that it was due to it was not just because of character organics, it was so that he was going to explore a more religiously correct, a depiction of Ellie as going to be more adherence to his own religion or his own views, okay, on the subject. Basically making Ellie more a conservative woman. That would be just as cringy. Okay, I'm sorry to say, Ben Shapiro, but if you did that and if you're not inspired by something and you're just trying to inject your own politics into something, you're trying to politicize it, then it becomes cringy. So there's a difference between it being inspired by something and then overtly putting it in there and overtly putting your ideas in there. Okay, big difference. And there's a difference between having something that's often politicized but isn't, and then politicizing it. Big difference there. And that's a difference that that your usual SJW and NPC they do not want to acknowledge, because if they acknowledge it, they can't call you a bigot or a racist or a sexist or something.
Considering she was very obviously gay in the first game, especially if you played the Left Behind DLC, that would be pretty political if they made her straight after that. So no, you are into politics, but you are into politics that you agree with, and because you
went on I went on a rant, and then you went on a rant, but you didn't prove any of your points. You said it's just politics you don't agree with that become political, but you didn't actually prove that. You said that, and then you went on a tangent, and then you came back to the same conclusion that you began with, without actually proving anything. Let's check this out, chat. Let's go through this one more time. Just to make sure we're getting the full context. Let me go ahead and take it off screen so we can actually load. Okay, so
that would be pretty. If they made Ellie force diversity, gay people, the dude.
One second, chat. Hold on.
He only sees things as political.
There we go. Okay. Got it back up. I go ahead and share it again. Load it back up. Should be good to go. Should we be political? Let's check it out. Okay, let's listen to what he says.
Everybody has the same rights as far as he's aware. He doesn't see any reason for things to get political. And third, he only sees things as political when they're politics he disagrees with.
Okay, that's the beginning. He only sees things as political when it's politics he disagrees with, and he ends with that same conclusion. So let's go over it and see if he proves it during this little tangent of his.
He doesn't align with, at least. So if you have a gay main character and the game makes even the slightest deal about the character being gay, like Ellie making out with her girlfriend in the Last of Us 2 trailer, that's political. If Ellie was making out with a dude, sure, it would be cringe because no one wants to watch that like super close up two people making out. I'm not a huge fan of watching PDAs, public displays of affection. If she was making out with a dude, this wouldn't have been an issue in the first place. But because she's gay, that's seen as political. Then you have all the gamer bros making videos saying, I don't hate gay people or anything, but I think there's an agenda being injected into the game and it's ruining the game. They're going to sacrifice gameplay and the fun of the game with forced diversity rather than focus on the game being fun and having a good story with characters I can relate to. That's the only reason they see it as political. If they made Ellie straight, that would have been a political statement, especially considering she was very obviously gay in the first game, especially if you played the Left Behind DLC. That would be pretty political if they made her straight after that. So no, you are into politics, but you are into politics that you agree with, and because you agree with them, you...
Oh man. Okay. So, wow. So did you hear that, chat? Am I still up? You still listening to this? This is nonsense. This is absolute nonsense. What'd you just do? What are you trying to do, Xander Hall? So let me break this down. What happened, chat? Let me just go over what happened. This is hilarious. Check this out. You're just into politics. You just call things political that you don't agree with, and then he goes into a straw man and says that all these people are saying that it's political now because they don't like the politics in it or whatever. But the thing is, he's not covering gamer bros. He's covering this guy specifically. And he's saying that, and he's tossing this accusation towards this guy specifically. So he began a point with you just call things political if they have politics you disagree with. Then he went on a tangent about gamer bros and how people are just saying that it would be politicized if Ellie were straight or whatever. And then he would come back, and he comes back and says, "So no, therefore no, you only see things as political if it's politics you don't agree with." You didn't prove that one iota, Xander Hall. Not even a little bit. You didn't play a video. You didn't play the video of him that you have there apparently in the background. You didn't bring up a point of him or any evidence of him coming out and saying, it's like as I said before, pointing to a game that he likes for political reasons because the politics of the game agree with him, and then pointing to a game he doesn't agree with because of the politics he doesn't agree with. You just made a point, spoke for a little bit, and then came to the conclusion you already came to. What you did not do was prove that he himself, held those views. Now you might be correct, but you didn't prove it. Okay, you said you gave not one scrap of evidence to prove your point. You're just like you said he only hates games with politics he doesn't agree with. Then you said something about gamer bros and how you said it would be political here, it would be political there, and how they would want this and how they want that. And then you came to the conclusion, therefore he therefore he only likes games that agree with his politics. Not once, okay? Not once did you prove that throughout the entire time. Not once did you prove that this guy supports that assertion or exemplifies that assertion. Glib, thank you for the 2. Appreciate that. We need to find out what happened during GG to him. I don't know. Gamergate. What did happen? What did happen? But was he part of Gamergate? I guess he was. He considered himself if he used to be like this alt-right Nazi guy or whatever he used to be. But yeah, Xander Hall, what are you doing? You're not arguing against Critical. This is not a video against Critical. This is a video against a straw man. Okay, this is you're just arguing against a straw man. You're not arguing against Critical. What are you doing? What are you doing? Like, here's Critical. Here's what he believes, and here's what I'm saying he believes. Therefore, he believes it. Tyler Preston, thing which is 2. Xander Hall. I'm not calling him a bigot, but exactly, it's like Steve Shives. Just because I'm Steve Shives, just because you're conservative, doesn't mean that you're a jerk. However, it does mean you think like one. Glib Xander was pro GG. Yeah, he said he was I'm not surprised because he said he used to be like this alt-right Nazi. So that's how they viewed Gamergaters as alt-right weirdos. And he said he used to be one, and now he's not. He's on the complete opposite of the spectrum. And this is not an argument against Critical. Xander Hall, you're arguing against a straw man. Wow, so much stuff in this little thing. So much stuff in this little video. Let's keep going for a little bit longer.
You never even realized their politics in the first place. 4 or 3? Is this 3 or 4? I can't fucking remember, right?
You don't know his politics. You have not demonstrated you actually know his politics. Okay? You're not arguing against a movement. You're not arguing against a group of people. You're arguing against a person, like a single individual entity. Okay? You're arguing against Critical, and you're covering his view, his take on things. Okay, you're not arguing against gamer bros. You're not arguing against alt-right Nazis or incels. Okay, you're arguing against one man, one guy. And you have yet to produce a scrap of evidence to produce any of these assertions. Okay, it would have been easy. Just show us some clips, show us some evidence. I don't know. Play the video and then bring up these points when you think that he supports these points that you're making, that he provides you proof, provides you evidence of the points that you're making. How about you play the video, and then you start tossing these accusations toward him. It might be a little more reasonable. But as far as I've seen, you have not shown any clips of him talking about politics. You have not shown any clips of him siding with games that of politics he agrees with, and hating games of politics he disagrees with. You have done none of that, Xander Hall. Not one little bit. And it would have been very easy, especially since you have the video of the guy in your background. I've only seen two bread tubers. That's Vosh and this guy, and they've done the exact same thing. Is that the only way they know how to argue is against straw men? What are you doing? And you even said, "Oh, he's definitely privileged." How do you know that? Okay, I'm not saying that you're wrong. I'm saying you haven't proved it yet. You're making all these assertions and assumptions. You're not proving one little bit of it. It'd been very easy. What if you could have you came to that conclusion somehow, right? Was it just prejudice? Were you just prejudging him, which is what prejudice actually means, or did you actually find evidence of that? Because you could have said, okay, look, he's obviously privileged. Okay, here's a video that I found talking about how privileged he is. Okay, there, fine. He's privileged. Fine, you proved your point. Like maybe Critical is a video of Critical talking about how I don't know, he grew up in a rich neighborhood or something. His parents grew up rich and he owns a mansion or something. Maybe he has a video. There's a video of him saying something like that. He should have, brought it up because he learned about it somehow. Unless he's being prejudiced against Critical, then he learned about it somehow. So bring it up, okay? Bring it up. And then he says, he's talking about his politics, and he says, we know his politics. How do you know? If Critical ever, he says that he was making fun of Hillary supporters one time. Well, what were they doing? Were they just because they supported Hillary, or because they're being crazy, which a lot of the Hillary supporters were being? They're being absolutely insane. So was the fact that he's making fun of insane people and the fact that they're Hillary supporters that happen to be coincidental, or is he making fun of Hillary supporters? We don't know. We don't know because you didn't bring up any of the evidence. Okay, if you're going to make these accusations, and especially if these accusations are going to be huge points of your overall argument, then where's your evidence? I mean, it's not going to be all that hard. And if you didn't want to bring up that evidence, then don't make these accusations. Okay, just play the video that you're going to play, and then I want after he says the things you want him to say, after he provides you the proof, then you bring in the accusations. Okay, then he says, okay, look, here's what he just said, or here's what happens. Because if he agrees with a certain group of people, then you can say that. But so far, you proved nothing. Not one little bit. All he's saying is that all he said so far is, I don't. A lot of people are saying that they want politics in games. I don't want politicized games. That's the essence of what he said so far. That's it. That's all. Nothing big or major or anything like that. Okay? Nothing at all. Let's see here.
I ramble on a lot. 4.
Yeah, Xander Hall. We have that in common. So at least we can connect there.
Wait, did I have another point? Okay, we're just gonna continue. Maybe I'll get reminded of what my next point was. I need to start writing this shit down. Let's continue.
Time investment, just fun in general, and now making every game so.
See, Angel of the Sword. This guy clearly doesn't even watch Penguin Zero's videos. I'm conservative, and I rarely agree with Penguin Zero's. I still watch him because he's not political. Yeah. I mean, you don't. There's more to a person's makeup, okay, than their politics. Okay, there's more to a person than their politics. Very easy to like someone who doesn't agree with you on politically.
So politically motivated, it makes it not fun.
And okay,
that's a good point there. It's not the fact that it's diversity or something like that. It's the fact that it's been politicized and the inclusion was politically motivated. Like I said before, if they kept true to the lore of Last of Us 2, they kept true to the lore of Last of Us, kept to the characterization, gave us what we wanted, continued the story in an honest, organic way, and they made Ellie bisexual or gay, then there would be no problem. But we get a nasty taste of this being politically motivated. That's where the problem comes in. Because if it's politically motivated, then it's been politicized. And that's what we don't want. It's exactly what we're arguing against. And see, important Joe. Sexual preference is character thread. It is important only if it matters to the story. But when any thread is there, but it doesn't have any impact on the story, then it's tokenism. Yeah, pretty much. Usually you add that in there if it becomes narratively relevant, which is why they can add in like a lot of these, like some of these Japanese anime. You might not know the character's gay until it becomes actually relevant that they are, or if it eats, or if it it's a big part of their personality, how they act and how they speak and what they do and say.
This is what he was talking about. Hold on. Making games politically motivated, making them not fun. Okay. I'm going to try to be as generous to his argument here as I can possibly be. All right?
How generous is that? I guess we'll see.
What I believe he's trying to say is not necessarily that, like, if the game designers are focusing on making the game politically correct or politically aware, then it'll ruin. They aren't putting as much effort into the gameplay. The problem with that is obviously that different teams, like, having politically correct content and the game being fun, they aren't going to affect each other.
Yes, yeah, being politically correct will affect it, because being politically correct is shackles on the artist. Okay, hello, Greedo will have a word with you on that one, sir. Being politically correct, okay, it shackles the artist. Have you seen what they tout on political correctness? You can't do this, you can't say that, you can't have a character that does this. It is a list of the arbitrary limitations. Okay, it's a list of limitations placed on an artist that the artist has not chosen for themselves. It is dictating what an artist can and can't say. Political correctness is censorship. It's censorship. It's not. It's taking the choice and the agency away from the artist and giving it into the hands of crybabies. The artist has lost their rights when political correctness is involved. So if you want to have a game that depicts the death of someone, but they happen to be protected class or something, then you have to be forced to change the game. If you're forced to change the game for that reason, that's political correctness. It's censorship. It's changing it to be politically correct. So yes, it's going to affect the game. It's going to affect the story. It might even affect the gameplay. So yeah, but that's why we don't want political correctness in there. Say DJM voice thing with 5, appreciate that. Play Dragon Age Origins, then tell me there's no difference between games that have diverse politics and games that are politicized. Yeah, I really enjoyed Dragon Age Origins. It's a lot of fun. I bought all 3, but I haven't played all 3 yet. Let's see here. So play Dragon. I actually do recommend people play Dragon Age Origins. It's a lot of fun. Yeah, it wasn't politicized at all. It was just a fun game that had its own world and its own characters and world building. Was it inspired by politics? Yeah, it was a little bit. but you can't really get a handle on what exactly. But it was obviously inspired by past organizations, things like that. There's also, of course, racism and stuff, but it doesn't force it down your throat. It's just a fun game. And thank you very much, DJM Voices. Appreciate that. Glib, at best, it's self-censorship. At worst, it's censorship. Yeah, because if an artist adheres to this, then they will be censoring and altering their creative process so they can adhere to the tenets of political correctness. Okay? It's not organic. It's not due to the story. It's not. The question isn't. In that scenario, the question doesn't become how to make the story better, or how can I get around the way I've written this character, the rules I myself established. How can I manipulate these or get around these or use them to my benefit? Is this going to offend people? Is this going to be acceptable in this day and age? Okay, it's dictating what you do based on offense being given or whatever it is. So it's limitations, but not good limitations. Okay, it's not limitations helping you to enhance the narrative. It's limitations based so that you won't get canceled or won't be socially punished, etc., and so forth. You're given, the artist might censor themselves that way, but it makes the work worse because they are poisoning their artistic process, the creative process, and they're doing it for the sake of other people because they think they're too afraid to offend the general society or something like that, something along those lines. So it's censorship. It's the artists might censor themselves just to be safe, or if they don't do that, then the outsiders, the people who cry and scream about this stuff, who cry political correctness, will censor them. Will try to censor them for them. Either way, it's censorship. Barry Ben, the politics of stories should only be pertinent to the story's world building, not to those who watch them from outside. Exactly. If they want to add in politics, it should be relevant to the world that you're watching. It should be narratively relevant, like Game of Thrones. Were politics of Game of Thrones relevant in real life at one time? Yeah, it was based off the War of the Roses. It was essentially like that, except Ned Stark is infinitely more noble than the guy he's based off of. But essentially, how it goes, okay, it's politically inspired, and it pertains towards the narrative of the story, not so much towards the narrative of the guy watching the story. Okay. Anyway, we're past the 3.5 hour mark, chat. So I think we're going to have to end it here. I think we're going to have to continue this another day. Unfortunately, maybe tomorrow. Might continue tomorrow. We'll see how it goes. Let's see how it goes. But thank you everyone for joining me. Thank you for sitting in with me during all the technical issues and stuff and all this stuff. I appreciate it. And again, all the slowly but surely, because so far there's a lot of Morning Nonsense streams, but eventually, all the Morning Nonsense streams will be moved over to the first edition, and they'll take place live on this channel. We're going to do this in Mahler style. They'll take place live on this channel, but they'll be moved. But once they're done, they'll eventually move to the first edition channel, and it's the playlist is over there. But other than that, I appreciate you joining me. Awesome, thank you for generosity. Appreciate it, and hope you had fun. Hope you had at least a little bit of fun going through all this. And maybe next time, maybe a future stream sometime coming soon. We'll go over a comic book that I consider actually good narratively, structurally, etc., and so forth. But anyway, thank you very much for joining me today, chat. Hope you have a wonderful rest of your day. And of course, I will see you all